Chapter 3502. If Lin Yi stood up for him, then it would be him and Lin Yi going against each other, which was not in line with his original intention. If he wanted to target Xiao Ran, he would have to wait until Lin Yi was finished. He wasn't that stupid. Lin Yi finished eating and looked at Zhong Pingliang, then said, "I'm done. Are you done?" "We just ate. Of course we can't finish." Zhong Pingliang said, "Then I'm leaving. Go back and rest. You gave up the challenge. I'll take it as you lost." Lin Yi said, "You." Zhong Pingliang was furious. What kind of logic was this? I can wait for you to eat, but you can't wait for me to eat? What kind of logic was this? However, there didn't seem to be any logic with Lin Yi. This person never seemed to be reasonable. He kicked on the first day of school. How could he reason with him? So Zhong Pingliang could only grit his teeth and said, "Fine, I can still beat you up without eating. Let's go." "Liang bro, after you." Lawless Fist and Dongfang Badeo quickly opened the door for Pingliang to enter the restaurant. Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo walked in front, and Lu Taishou and Tu Xiaoshou followed behind respectfully. They came to the empty space in front of the inn, and Lin Yi said, "What do you want to compete in? Tell me. I can't beat you to death. You're so troublesome. You should know that I'm best at insta-killing my opponents." "Insta-killing is too hurtful. We are old classmates. How about this? You and I fight for a few moves. If you lose, you better stop." Zhong Pingliang said with a wave of his hand. "Oh, what if you lose?" Lin Yi asked. "I won't lose," Zhong Pingliang said confidently. Zhong Pingliang's words made Lin Yi laugh. Some people were like this, ridiculously arrogant, but Lin Yi couldn't make Zhong Pingliang do anything. If Zhong Pingliang lost, he lost. Lin Yi couldn't do anything to him. Could he kill him? Obviously not. Lin Yi wanted to keep a low profile during the trial. If he killed him, would Lin Yi still be able to participate in the trial? Forget it. Let's begin. Lin Yi waved his hand and said calmly. Pingliang's expression froze, and with a shake of his hand, a soft golden whip that looked like a golden dragon appeared in his hand. This was the Mad Dragon Patriarch's Sky-class weapon. Lin Yi's expression changed slightly. Who would have thought that Pingliang would take out a Sky-class weapon? One had to know that in this era where blacksmiths were extinct, it was extremely difficult to obtain a heaven-ranked divine weapon of one's own attribute, not to mention obtaining one that matched one's own attribute. Even obtaining a weapon of other attributes was extremely difficult. Only a few sects with rich foundations would have it. For example, the ancient sects. It was impossible for ordinary sects and aristocratic families to have them. Fury of the Mad Dragon. Pingliang shouted suddenly, and the soft whip was like a mad dragon, flashing a dazzling golden light as it lashed towards Lin Yi. The head of the whip was like a dragon spitting fire, and the heat was scorching. It made people sweat profusely. This was the mantra that the Mad Dragon Patriarch cultivated, called the Mad Dragon Power. This cultivation technique was also a very heaven-defying cultivation technique. Just from its name, one could tell that it was a berserk dragon. Everyone knew how awesome a dragon was. Moreover, it was a berserk dragon. How mighty would it be? Back then, the Mad Dragon Patriarch was also a famous figure in the ancient world, and he could even fight against the Xiantian ancestor. It was just that he was killed by the Vajra dual fiends. Otherwise, not many people could be his match. Even if Pingliang was only at the peak of the late phase of heaven class and hadn't reached the great perfection, he was still an extremely powerful existence. The chi of the golden dragon that he activated. Not only was it extremely powerful, but it also had a suppressive aura. Think about how powerful a dragon's aura was. In the legends, the dragon was the king of kings. Otherwise, the ancient emperors wouldn't be called the true dragon son of heaven. This aura, it could make practitioners tremble in front of him, as if there was a mountain in front of him. In front of Zhong Pingliang, any practitioner with a slightly weaker temperament would kneel down in fear. Even those with a strong mentality wouldn't be able to use the mantra. After all, the might of a dragon was not to be trifled with. As the chi of the golden dragon was activated, Pingliang could already imagine how Lin Yi would kneel under his feet, because The people nearby were already trembling, not to mention Lin Yi, who was fighting him head-on. Thump! Thump! The first to kneel wasn't Lin Yi, but Pin Liang's lackeys. Other than Zhang Naipeo, Wu Fist, Dong Fongbadeo, Lu Taijian, and Tu Xiaoshu were all kneeling on the ground, trembling, not daring to look at Pin Liang directly. Zhang Naipeo and Pin Liang's arts were the same, and Zhang Naipeo could absorb any poison, qi, energy, and pressure. So, other than the fact that it was a little hard for Zhang Naipeo to dissolve the pressure, there was nothing wrong with it. Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing, on the other hand, felt their hearts palpitate, but for some reason, they didn't kneel on the ground. Pin Liang's whip flew over, but it was caught in Lin Yi's hand. Lin Yi looked at Pin Liang and said faintly, "What is this? Is it fun? Is it fireworks?" Wah! Pin Liang's eyes went wide as he looked at Lin Yi. Lin Yi wasn't being pressured by his pressure, and was even holding his sky-class weapon in his hand. What was going on? That was impossible. His fury of the Berserk Dragon was effective against any cultivator. As long as it was a cultivator, they would definitely feel his pressure, unless the other party was not a cultivator. But Lin Yi was a practitioner, and a top-level one at that. How could Pin Liang's fury of the Berserk Dragon be ineffective against Lin Yi? One had to know that fury of the Berserk Dragon looked very dazzling, but it didn't have much attack power. Its main purpose was to threaten the opponent, and as long as the opponent's psychological defense was broken, he could do whatever he wanted. "How are you fine?" Pin Liang looked at Lin Yi, surprised. "What do you mean, how am I fine? Is there something wrong with you? You used an electric cannon to scare people, and I'm fine? I thought you got smarter after going to the everyday sect, but you're still so stupid. You're just trying to scare people because you're not strong enough." Lin Yi said calmly. Chapter 35:03. When the dragon totem appeared, all the practitioners had to kneel and kowtow. This was a skill that could only be used by a perfected practitioner, and using it with a sky-class late-phase peak consumed a lot of their energy. But in order to defeat Lin Yi, Pin Liang didn't care about that anymore. He used his strongest move. He didn't believe that Lin Yi wouldn't submit to him. Not to mention cultivators, even spirit beasts of the same level, would have to kneel and submit to his technique. "What are you doing? Magic?" Lin Yi looked at Pin Liang and asked faintly, "You didn't call me here just to watch you play tricks, did you? Are you crazy? Is there anything else? If there's nothing else, I'm going back." "Impossible." Pin Liang's mouth was wide open as he stared at Lin Yi, who was perfectly fine, in utter shock. The move that he was so proud of seemed to be ineffective against Lin Yi. This was a mantra created by the ancient dragon, and it had a strong pressure on practitioners, especially the last move. Anyone who saw it would have to bow down, but Lin Yi didn't move at all. Wasn't this too unrealistic? "Why, go to hell." Pin Liang raised his hands abruptly and made a strange gesture, and the dragon totem behind him glowed brightly in an instant. Pin Liang's mantra was extremely powerful and heaven-defying. It was a mantra passed down from the ancient times, on par with Zhang Naipeo's chrysanthemum arts. Mantras passed down from the ancient times were usually invincible. Pin Liang couldn't understand why his mantra didn't work on Lin Yi. It didn't matter if it didn't work on Lin Yi, but then he realized that Han Jingjing and Xinyan were fine as well. It didn't work on Lin Yi? It didn't make sense. Pin Liang wasn't willing to give up. He roared, and the dragon totem on his body didn't dissipate. The golden dragon whip in his hand shook again, breaking free from Lin Yi's grip. It was aimed at Lin Yi's head. Lin Yi looked at Pin Liang with a smile that wasn't quite a smile on his face. He didn't know why, but when he fought Pin Liang earlier, he felt as if Pin Liang was his follower. It was as if Pin Liang was his follower, not him. Right now, this feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Lin Yi tried to circulate the mantra and suddenly shouted, "Get down." Pin Liang froze, then fell to the ground as if he'd received a blow, not daring to look at Lin Yi. His face was filled with shock and unwillingness, but he couldn't control his body. Pin Liang's situation shocked Lin Yi as well, but Lin Yi quickly thought of a possibility. Lin Yi's art was called the Art of Dragon Mastery. Pin Liang's arts must have something to do with dragons. Could it be that it had a restraining effect? Back then, when Lin Yi was cultivating it, he felt that the name of the Art of Dragon Mastery was amazing. It could even control a dragon. That was quite amazing. So now it could suppress Pin Liang's mantra. That wasn't surprising at all. It seemed like the name of the Art of Dragon Mastery wasn't just for show. After Pin Liang fell to the ground, he stopped circulating the mantra, but the pressure on his body weakened a lot. He tried it. He could actually stand up. What was going on? Pin Liang was stunned, thinking that it wasn't an illusion just now, was it? This move of his had never failed before. So he harbored the thought of giving it a try and revolved the violent dragon divine technique once again. In the end, that kind of pressure suddenly returned again. Pin Liang realized, to his dismay, that he wanted to submit to Lin Yi as soon as he used the practitioner's arts. But if it were anyone else, wouldn't they have to submit to Lin Yi? Why did he feel like submitting to Lin Yi? Impossible. He couldn't accept it. He couldn't accept it. Pin Liang, are you going to be my follower? It looks like Prophet Shu was right. You're just a follower of mine. Lin Yi said mockingly as he looked at Pin Liang. What? Prophet Shu? Pin Liang paused, remembering who Prophet Shu was. Yushu had tricked him a lot back then, and he gritted his teeth in anger. Don't talk about this. We'll see in the trial. Do what you want. All right, since you're kneeling, it's your loss. If there's nothing else, I'm going back, Lin Yi said, waving at Xin Yan and Han Jingjing, and the three of them walked to the inn. Xiao Ran saw Lin Yi's power from afar, suppressing Pin Liang. He was very surprised, secretly admiring Lin Yi. Pin Liang, on the other hand, didn't want to accept it, but there was nothing he could do. He lost the first battle, and he wanted to use Lin Yi to show off his power. Although he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi, making Lin Yi submit was a very satisfying thing. Wasn't Lin Yi the #1 under Sky Dao? Now that the #1 had submitted to him, didn't that make him the #1 now? Unfortunately, it was all for naught. Pin Liang's chant could be said to be effective against anyone under Sky Dao. It was just a matter of how strong the effect was. It might be effective against someone like the Xiantian Ancestor, but the Xiantian Ancestor would react very quickly and wouldn't be suppressed for long. But Lin Yi wasn't affected at all. Nai Peo didn't expect this to happen, and he waited until Lin Yi left before coming back to his senses. Liang bro, do you want me to do something? No, you're a trump card. We need to save it for the test. We can't go against Lin Yi too early. Pin Liang shook his head. He didn't want to, but there was nothing he could do. Let's go back. All right. Pin Liang nodded as he followed. As for the others, although they saw that Pin Liang had lost, no one dared to abandon him. They couldn't even handle Zhang Naipeo alone, let alone Pin Liang, who was so powerful. Lin Yi thought as he walked, why were Han Jingjing and Xin Yan fine? But no matter how he thought about it, the only explanation was that they both had their own pure qi in their bodies. Perhaps the pure qi he generated through the art of dragon mastery was able to defend against Pin Liang's mad dragon arts. Although it couldn't make Pin Liang submit, it was possible to not be suppressed by him. For the next 2 days, Pin Liang and Nai Peo didn't provoke Lin Yi at all. When Lin Yi brought Han Jingjing and Xin Yan to the restaurant to eat, they pretended not to see anything. Tai Saw, on the other hand, ignored Xiao Ran as well, as if he'd forgotten who he was. Chapter 3504. In addition, other than Zhong Pingliang and the others, Lin Yi saw a few acquaintances. Song Lingrui came, but she pretended not to know Lin Yi and didn't greet Lin Yi. Bubbly Clan's Thor Ryu also came. He did greet Lin Yi, but under Lin Yi's hint, he didn't get too close to Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi didn't want to be too ostentatious this time. When facing Zhong Pingliang, he also knew when to stop. In fact, from the beginning to the end, Lin Yi didn't make a move. The rest of the sects with inheritors didn't come. It seemed that they weren't with ordinary trial takers. There were also a few disciples of foreign small sects that he didn't know. They didn't talk to Lin Yi, and Lin Yi didn't bother to greet them. No matter how he thought about it, there weren't that many people in the Heaven Class trial. Even if Lin Yi reached the ancient level, the number of Heaven-class masters was still pitifully small. There weren't many Heaven-class masters at the peak of the late phase or the full circle of Heaven-class. It was the last day of the trial registration. On this day, nothing happened, and no other trial takers came to register. At night, a voice suddenly rang out in the open space behind the inn. Although the voice wasn't loud, it had a very strong, penetrating power. It carried a very strong majesty, causing the hearts of all the challengers in the inn to tremble. All trial takers participating in the Heaven Stage trial, please note that the registration time for this trial has ended. Now we will start the registration. All trial takers in the inn, please gather in the open space behind the inn within 5 minutes to accept the registration and inspection of the 5 Elements sect. No one will wait after the deadline. This voice belonged to ancestor Xianshun, and Lin Yi was very familiar with it. Moreover, he didn't hide his strength at all, revealing the strength of Heaven Stage, Peak Late Stage, and Great Circle. It was actually ancestor Xianshun himself. Lin Yi was somewhat moved. It seemed that the 5 Elements sect attached great importance to this trial. However, they didn't pay a deposit like the other trials. This made Lin Yi feel somewhat strange. Logically speaking, Kong Mingming had lost so much money previously. Why didn't he take the opportunity to make more money this time? But after thinking about it carefully, those who could participate in the 5 Elements sect trial were all elites of their respective sections. Moreover, they were here to prepare for the Heavenly Rank meeting and the qualification to enter the Heavenly Rank Island. It was a bit inappropriate to collect money at this time. Moreover, he reckoned that Patriarch Xuanqin's mind was no longer on money. He was on a Heaven Stage Island. So what was the point of having so much money in the secular world? It was still uncertain what kind of currency it would be on the Heavenly Island. One had to know that the higher the level of cultivation, the less useful money would be. Those natural treasures couldn't be measured with money, so it was more common for them to be traded for other treasures. However, when he first participated in other trials, there were very few sect masters who directly shouted for people. Lin, he had some evil thoughts. Could it be that there was no one else in the 5 Elements sect? His disciple was killed by him. So, Patriarch Xianshun had no choice but to go personally? Thinking about it, Lin Yi still brought Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing to the open space behind the inn. In less than a minute, almost all the trial takers had left the inn and came to the square behind the inn. After all, everyone was a Heavenly Rank expert, so their speed wasn't slow. Lin Yi, Han Jingjing, and Wang Xinyan found a relatively clean place and sat cross-legged on the ground. The other trial takers came over and followed Lin Yi's example. They found a place to sit down. Everyone had participated in the trial before and knew the rules. They knew that the rules of the trial must be explained when everyone was gathered here. On a temporarily built high platform in the square behind the inn, Patriarch Xianshun was wearing a Bodyguard robe and stood with his hands behind his back. Behind him stood 3 people. These 3 people were all very familiar to Lin Yi. One of them made Lin Yi very excited. It was actually Tianshan, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Since the last trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Lin Yi hadn't seen Tianshan again. He didn't expect her to follow behind Patriarch Xianshun. Could she also be a disciple of the 5 Elements sect? However, Tianshan didn't look sideways, as if she didn't notice Lin Yi at all. This made Lin Yi slightly disappointed. Tianshan was a girl he was very attracted to, but perhaps their relationship stopped at the last trial of the Heavenly Elixir sect. As for the other 2 people, they were Kong Mingming and Little 11. These 3 people didn't hide their strength. The strength of the great perfection of the late-stage Heaven Stage was revealed. Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Tianshan had the strength of the great perfection. However, wasn't Kong Mingming and Little 11's speed of advancement a little too fast? Could it be that Kong Mingming refined the chi-gathering pills for the couple to consume? Thinking that the 5 Elements sect must have kept a lot of white energy stones for their own use, it was not surprising that Kong Mingming could quickly refine the chi-gathering pills. As long as an alchemist could quickly restore his physical strength and chi, it was possible to refine as many pills as he wanted. However, Patriarch Xianxin was really willing to spend a lot of money. For them, the white energy stones were one less. In the past, they were only used to assist in cultivation, but now they were actually used for alchemy. However, Patriarch Xianxin probably didn't care about these things anymore, since they were going to Heavenly Island. On the other hand, Little 11 was clearly injured and crippled by Lin Yi, but he could still improve his strength? How did he improve his strength? This made Lin Yi extremely surprised. It seemed that the foundation of the Five Elements sect was still very deep, and it was not something that he could understand. Kong Mingming's eyes swept across the challengers below, as if he was looking for something. When he saw Lin Yi, his eyes suddenly flashed with excitement and bloody brilliance. This made Lin Yi's heart tighten. The way this guy looked at him was not quite right. Could it be that he was thinking of some dirty tricks to deal with him in the trial? Kong Mingming had always been like this. If it wasn't because he had the identity of Patriarch Xuanxin's son-in-law, which made him different from those disciples, Lin Yi really couldn't let him stay until now. But now, Lin Yi didn't want to fall out with Patriarch Xianxin before landing on Heavenly Island. Without Patriarch Xianxin, Lin Yi didn't know how to get to Heavenly Island, so he temporarily let Kong Mingming stay. And Little 11, who was next to Kong Mingming, swept his eyes over to Lin Yi, and his eyes didn't leave Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan. Obviously, he was also full of hatred. However, Lin Yi heard that this Heavenly Island trial was an important event before landing on Heavenly Island. Kong Mingming shouldn't destroy him, right? After all, the matter of Heavenly Island was more important than anything else. Chapter 3505. After a while, a minibus slowly drove over. The door opened, and a group of beautiful women alighted from the minibus, causing the eyes of all the contestants to light up. However, no one dared to have any ill intentions because they were all inheritors. Ice Palace's people were Crystal Candy and Xiao Xiao. After getting off, they looked at the participants and sat down next to the Xianxin ancestor's platform, much closer to him than the other participants. Lin Yi knew that they were looking at him, and he let out a sigh of relief. Finally, he saw them, reuniting with the participants. Go to Sky Class Island. This was Lin Yi's persistence and hard work, and now that the moment had come, Lin Yi was extremely excited. Snowy Valley's people were Sydney and Tang Yun. Lin Yi had seen these two before, and he had an impression of them. But his impression was that they were very pure and pretty, and Sydney was secondary. As for Tang Yun, Lin Yi suddenly had an indescribable feeling. It was as if the girl he saw in that instant in Snowy Valley was her. Was it her? Probably. It was a very strange feeling, and for some reason, the moment he saw Tang Yun, Lin Yi's heart palpitated. Could it be that this was a special attraction between him and the inheritors? The other inheritors all had a relationship with Lin Yi, and it was a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of relationship, but the one from Snowy Valley wasn't. And now, Lin Yi's feeling towards Tang Yun made him wonder if it was the will of the heavens. Dark Palace's people were Meng Yao and the Grand Elder, and the mist didn't hide it all. She got off the car and looked at Lin Yi, nodding to Lin Yi and smiling, before sitting down next to Xiao Xiao with the Elder on stage. Xiao Xiao didn't care if the person on stage was the Xianxin ancestor or not, and started chatting with Meng Yao. This caused Patriarch Xuanxin's expression to turn a little ugly. However, he still had to rely on these inheritors, so he couldn't say much. Would elemental inheritance? Boss Bai and Guan Xian got off the car. Of course, Boss Bai couldn't participate in the trial because his level wasn't high enough. Moreover, he didn't want to go to the Heavenly Island. Wang Xinyan didn't use the remaining Qi gathering pills when she leveled up, so Lin Yi decided to save them for Boss Bai. With them, Boss Bai would be able to break through to Sky Class. He might even be able to reach the consummate level, and it wouldn't be difficult for him to regain control of the Five Elements sect. From the endless West Sea, the person who came was an old woman, and beside her was Yuning. This old woman's strength. It seemed like she had no strength at all. She should be an ordinary person, but Yuning's strength had shocked Lin Yi. Peak late heaven rank, great perfection. Lin couldn't help but admire the secret indoctrination of Tantric Buddhism. The world was so big that there were still many talented people. From Fiery Mountain, the person who came was Rocket Cannon and Yushu. Yushu's strength had also reached peak, late heaven rank, great perfection, which shocked Lin. However, her situation was very similar to Yuning's. It was probably caused by the secret indoctrination of Tantric Buddhism. From Yellow Earth High Sect, the person who came was Tu Ching Song and Tu Ranran. Tu Ranran's strength hadn't reached great perfection, only peak late heaven rank. But even so, one could imagine the strength of these foreign sections. The foreign sects all had some secret methods that could quickly increase the strength of cultivators. This was different from the ancient sects of the Central Plains. Of course, correspondingly, although the speed of improvement was very fast, the price paid was also quite huge. Long ago, a master might have to sacrifice the strength of 2 or 3 masters. This kind of 2 for 1, 3 for 1 situation could only be seen in the foreign lands. The sects of the Central Plains would not do this. These inheritors all got off the car and found a place to sit. The rules of the trial were probably going to be announced soon. Sure enough, when Ancestor Xianshan saw that everyone had arrived, he nodded indifferently and said, "Okay, since everyone is here, then let's begin. First, let me introduce myself. Maybe many of you already know me. My name is Xianshan, the acting sect master of the 5 Elements sect, the person in charge of the Heaven Rank Trial, the Heaven Rank Meeting, and the Heaven Rank Island Plan." Ancestor Xuanshan's words made the cultivators below tremble. They were very excited. The Heaven Rank Island, the Heaven Rank Dao, was a higher pursuit for these cultivators. Who didn't want to have higher strength? Some people said that you're already a top existence in the secular world. You could be called a land atomic bomb. Why do you still want to advance? There's a saying that there is no end to learning, and the path of martial arts cultivation is the same. After reaching a bottleneck, there is hope to cross it. This is the lifelong pursuit of the cultivators of my generation. In this trial, there are 2 of my assistants who will help everyone participate in the trial. And one of them is my son-in-law, Kong Ming Ming. Everyone should have seen him before. He is also an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. Ancestor Xianshan said. These words surprised the cultivators below. Many people still didn't know Kong Ming Ming's identity. At this moment, when Ancestor Xianshan said it, everyone immediately became cautious. This Kong Ming Ming was someone they had a curry favor with. And the other one is the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect, Tian Chan. Ancestor Xianshan once again dropped a bombshell and pointed at Tian Chan. The cultivators below looked at Ancestor Xianshan in an uproar. Wasn't the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect a man? How did he become a beautiful girl? Was the rumor wrong, or was he a transvestite? Moreover, wasn't the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect called Heavenly Silkworm Transformation? How did he become Tian Chan? Of course, the ones who were the most shocked were the heirs and their sections. The young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect had more or less gone to the sects of these heirs to propose marriage. But now it seemed that the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect was a woman. Where did the rumor of having many wives and concubines come from? Why did this woman want to propose marriage? Was Ancestor Xianshan lying? As for the fact that the young sect master of the Heavenly Elixir sect is a woman, I was the one who asked them to hide it. The matter of going to the heirs' sects to propose marriage was also arranged by me. As for the specific reason, I will announce it at the Heavenly Rank meeting. Now, your main task is the trial. Don't think about these things for now. Ancestor Xianshan gave a simple explanation and then continued. These 2 are disciples of my 5 Elements sect. Kong Ming Ming is my disciple, and Tian Chan is my second senior brother's disciple. They're the senior assistants who help me control the trial. Chapter 3506. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Although he did not know why Patriarch Xianshan had arranged this. If there was only Kong Ming Ming as a trial assistant, then he was afraid that Kong Ming Ming would give him a lot of trouble in the trial. This was not what Lin Yi wanted to see, But if Tian-chan was there, Lin Yi believed that Tian-chan would help him no matter what. Most of you are from the major ancient families and sections. I won't go into detail about the danger of the trial. Since you are here, you should be very clear. I believe that even itinerant cultivators understand that the trial is full of danger. If you don't want to die, you can withdraw now. Once you go in, your life and death will be up to fate. Patriarch Xianxun paused slightly when he said this. He glanced at the inheritors and continued. The trial testers are in danger, and the inheritors are also in danger. But what you have to do is to protect the inheritors and not let them be in any danger. Otherwise, everyone will be finished. If the heaven-level island cannot be opened, all the previous efforts will be wasted. Patriarch Xuanxun's words caused the trial takers below to fall silent. Indeed, they only had one goal in coming here, and that was to advance to the heavenly way. If something happened to the inheritor, then everyone's dreams would be shattered. Many people still wanted to go to the heaven-level island to show off their skills and look up to those legendary seniors who went to the heaven-level island. If everything was wasted, then they would really regret it. However, thinking about it, everything had risks. As long as everyone did their best, it would be fine. Patriarch Xianxun looked at the expressions of the cultivators below and was very satisfied. This trial was different from the other trials in the past. If something went wrong, everyone would be doomed. But now, it seemed that everyone was taking it seriously. Well, since everyone understands the importance of this trial, then I will talk about the rules of this trial. The duration of this trial is 3 days. It will float for 5 days. This is probably the shortest trial you have participated in. Not bad. You can't hold on for too long, and it is meaningless. As long as you consolidate the inheritor's inherited elemental power, it will be fine. The purpose of the trial will also be achieved. Patriarch Xianxun said, the location of the trial this time is still the Ice Fiend Wilderness that many people have gone to. However, the location of the Fiend Wilderness this time is different. It should be the Fiend Mountain Range. The things that Patriarch Xianxun said were very different from the previous trials. Everyone present listened very seriously. When they heard that it was still training in the 5 Evils Savage Wasteland, everyone's expressions became somewhat solemn. Previously, when the Spirit Beast Frenzy broke out, many people nearly died there. If they were to go to the 5 Evils Savage Land again, it would definitely be exceptionally dangerous. The destination of this trial. It was the cave of the 5 Demons Dragon in the 5 Demons Mountain Range. I'm sure all of you have heard of the 5 Evils Dragon, right? This is the king of 10,000 beasts of the 5 Evils Savage Land. According to this old man's investigation, it has already reached the peak of heaven rank and has a high chance of breaking through to the heavenly Tao. Therefore, all of you must be extremely careful. What you need to do is to lure the dragon of 5 evils out of its cave. Then, let all the inheritors enter the cave. This is because the cave is the spring of the 5 evils chi. After all the inheritors enter, they will absorb the devil chi of their own inheritance attribute to achieve the purpose of strengthening the inheritance. Similarly, the inheritors will resist the remaining 4 types of devil chi and break through the pressure to break through the limit. The inheritors who did not advance to the Great Perfection realm will also advance in the pressure. This process will last about 2 to 3 days, until all the inheritors succeed in strengthening the inheritance attribute and advance to heaven rank Great Perfection realm. As for the other inheritors, you must remember that you are no match for the dragon of 5 evils. Don't even think about fighting against it or killing it. Your goal is to deal with it and lure it out of the cave. As long as you don't return, you will succeed. At the same time, under the pressure of the 5 evils dragon and the 5 evils aura, those of you who haven't advanced to the great circle of the heaven realm can take advantage of this opportunity to advance. This is a rare opportunity. I hope you don't waste it. In the trial, all the inheritors will listen to Tian-chan's arrangements and orders. All the trial takers will listen to Kong Ming-ming's orders. If you don't listen, you will be disqualified from this trial. Don't even think about landing on Heaven Rank Island. There is no chance. Patriarch Xuanqian's voice was very strict, causing the trial takers below to be very careful. However, when Linny heard that Kong Ming Ming would be in charge of the trial, he was a little worried. Kong Ming Ming had a grudge against him. If he caused any trouble in the trial, Lin Yi would really be unable to guard against it. At that time, if Kong Ming Ming said that Lin Yi did not cooperate, what would Lin Yi do? However, now that things had come to this, Lin Yi could only put up with it. If Kong Ming Ming really disqualified him, he might also fight to the death to make all the inheritors leave and stop this plan. Then, he would see what Patriarch Xianshan would do. Okay, that's all for the rules of this trial. I'm going to prepare to open the teleportation device. You can communicate privately first. If the inheritors have any questions, you can ask Tianshan now. If the other trial takers have any questions, you can ask Kong Ming Ming. After Patriarch Xianshan finished speaking, he left in a hurry. Obviously, he was going to prepare for the inheritors' teleportation to the Five Evils mountain range. It was not possible for the inheritors to enter the Five Evils mountain range naturally. First, there was no way. Second, it was extremely dangerous. It was difficult for them to walk there. Fortunately, the seniors of the Five Elements sect had left a teleportation device. After opening, it could directly send the trial takers and inheritors to the Five Evils mountain range, near the Five Evils Dragon's Cave. After Patriarch Xinshan left, the trial takers all surrounded Kong Ming Ming. Of course, other than Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo, who were a little reserved, the others were almost on their knees. After all, Kong Ming Ming could be said to have the power of life and death in his hands. If he said pass, then pass. If not, then fail. Isn't this Liang Bro and Pao? Come, let's discuss the division of work after we reach the Five Evils mountain range. Kong Ming Ming called out to Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo. He wanted to kill Lin Yi, and naturally, he needed these two's cooperation. Chapter 3507. Putting aside the fact that Zhang Naipeo was very useful, Kong Ming Ming had learned from the Xinshan elder that Pin Liang was possessed by the Mad Dragon Master, so calling him Liang Bro was a more respectful way of addressing him. Pin Liang saw that Kong Ming Ming's attitude wasn't bad, so he walked over proudly. "All right, Brother Kong, tell me." Kong Ming Ming looked not far away and realized that Lin Yi wasn't coming over, but was walking towards the inheritor instead. He was overjoyed and lowered his voice. "Liang Bro, I know that you and Lin Yi are enemies, and I have a way to get rid of Lin Yi. I need everyone's cooperation." The other participants heard Kong Ming Ming say that he wanted to get rid of Lin Yi, and their faces changed slightly, but then they felt relieved. Since Kong Ming Ming said it in front of them, it meant that they were on the same side. As long as they stood firmly on Kong Ming Ming's side and didn't try to get close to Lin Yi, then there wouldn't be any problems in this trial. At least, Kong Ming Ming wouldn't cause them any trouble. After thinking this through, everyone was very happy. "Oh, tell me about it." Pin Liang was actually afraid that the Five Elements sect would interfere with him and Zhang Naipeo fighting Lin Yi. After all, this trial was different from the past, and the main goal was to protect the inheritor, not to be a hero. But now, since Kong Ming Ming also wanted to fight Lin Yi, the pressure on him was much lighter, and he didn't have to worry about anything at all. When we go to the trial, we just need to do this. Then, Liang Bro and Pao, you guys take over at any time. Kong Ming Ming said, "Good plan." Everyone agreed after hearing this. This was simply a great thing to do at the expense of others. They had no reason to disagree. As for Lin Yi, he didn't go to Kong Ming Ming's place either. Obviously, it wasn't welcomed by Kong Ming Ming, so Lin Yi didn't bother to give him a cold shoulder. He brought Han Jingjing and Xin Yan to the inheritors. Tian Chan was in the middle of explaining to the inheritors the things to pay attention to when they went to the cave and how to resist the pressure when she felt someone coming from behind her. She turned around and saw Lin Yi. She smiled at him. This instant smile overlapped with the yellow-clothed girl in Lin Yi's memory. Lin Yi took a deep breath and seemed to recall Tian Chan's catchphrase of "kick you." However, What Lenny didn't expect was that Tian-chan was actually the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect. At this moment, he suddenly understood why the Heavenly Elixir sect's attitude towards him was so ambiguous. Kong Ming was against him, but the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect seemed to help him often. If the young master was Tian-chan, all of this could be explained. Tian-chan, long time no see. Long time no see, he said as he walked over. Yes. Tian-chan responded lightly, as if she wasn't very familiar with Lin-yi. Perhaps Tian-chan already knew about the relationship between Lin-yi and the inheritors, so she didn't want to show that she was familiar with Lin-yi in front of them. Or Tian-chan was just as she said. After parting in the 5 evil savage land, I am me, and you are you. Lin-yi took a deep breath and said, I'll leave the inheritors' safety in your hands. The inheritors looked at Lin-yi in surprise. They didn't know how Lin-yi knew Tian-chan. It seemed like it wasn't the first time they met, and they seemed to be very familiar with each other. Lin-yi nodded and looked at the inheritors. Other than those who were familiar with him, Lin-yi's gaze finally fell on Tang Yin. He didn't know why, but Tang Yin seemed to have a special attraction to Lin-yi. This feeling was as if he had seen her in his previous life. It was very mysterious. Tang Yin felt Lin-yi's gaze as well, and her breathing quickened. This was the person she thought about day and night, the person she loved dearly, but she couldn't get to know him. Tang Yin was very happy that he was able to grow to his current strength and appear in the Sky Class test. But looking at the beautiful girls around Lin-yi, Tang Yin would be lying if she said she wasn't jealous. Luckily, she'd known most of these people since she was still here. Meng Yao, Yushu, Xiao Xiao, Guan Xian. Only Yuning and Jiu were new, but she talked to Meng Yao before, and she knew that these two were people Lin-yi knew before her, so she didn't have to worry too much about it. Plus, because of Tang Yin's arts, she couldn't have love, so this didn't have much to do with her. She was now a master at the peak of the late phase of Sky Division, and she had not reached the great perfection yet. The stagnation of Heartless Formula made Tang Yin a little anxious, and Shueli was even more worried. So when she saw Lin-yi looking at her, Shueli subconsciously coughed twice, hinting Tang Yin to not get back together with Lin-yi. Otherwise, if she couldn't reach the great perfection of Sky Division, everything would be in vain. Tang Yin heard Sydney's cough and knew that she was reminding her, so she didn't raise her head. Lin-yi realized that Tang Yin wasn't looking at him, and Lin-yi could only sigh and leave. Tian-chan was explaining things related to inheritors, and Lin-yi couldn't just sit and listen. What was wrong with him sitting and listening? When Lin-yi walked back, Kong Ming called out to him, Isn't this Lin-yi, the strongest wandering cultivator under the heavenly Tao? Kong Xiaoming gave Lin-yi so many titles as soon as he opened his mouth. Lin-yi felt that something was wrong. This guy must be up to no good. As expected, after Lin-yi walked over and looked at him, Kong Ming continued, We discussed it, and since you are the strongest among us, then you will be in charge of luring the dragon of 5 evils out of the cave. After all, whoever is stronger will do the work. Do you have any objections to my arrangement? So he was waiting here. Lin-yi laughed in his heart at Kong Ming's scheming. Luring the dragon of 5 evils out of the cave was the most dangerous part, and one could die at any time. In this mission, Kong Ming actually let Lin-yi do it, and at the end, he even said that this was his arrangement, and he asked Lin-yi if he had any objections. It was a blatant threat, telling Lin-yi that if Lin-yi didn't listen to him, he had the right to cancel Lin-yi's qualification to participate in the trial at any time. Chapter 3508. With the Go Senior as his trump card, Lin-yi would not be in too much danger. Just me. Lin-yi glanced at Kong Ming and asked calmly. That's right. We had a meeting just now and unanimously decided that only you are the most suitable. This is the result of a vote. Of course, you can disagree and we can choose someone else. However, since you don't listen to orders, I can only refuse to let you participate in the Heaven Class trial. Kong Ming said, Do you think it's interesting to say that? Unanimous decision? Who decided? You decided? You decided? Were you? Lin Yi casually pointed at a few trial takers around Kong Ming Ming and asked calmly. However, these people all lowered their heads. No one dared to look directly at Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was infamous in the ancient times. He killed anyone he didn't like. These people wanted to lick Kong Ming Ming's boots, but they didn't dare to offend Lin Yi. After all, if Lin Yi really wanted to beat them to death, Kong Ming Ming wouldn't be able to save them. Lin Yi, don't worry about that. Anyway, are you going to listen or not? Kong Ming Ming's eyes flashed with anger. He just said that to make it sound more dignified. However, he didn't expect that Lin Yi wouldn't give him any face and directly exposed him. This made him feel embarrassed. If you don't want to go, then please leave. The trial doesn't welcome you. Who said I don't agree? Lin Yi asked calmly. Which ear did you hear that? I'm just questioning it. You? Kong Ming Ming was furious. If you agree, why didn't you say so earlier? You put me on the spot with so much nonsense. He snorted and said, Do you see that? In the trial, I am the authority. Those who submit to me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. This Lin Yi is the #1 itinerant cultivator under the heavenly Tao. He didn't dare to disobey and spouted a bunch of bullshit. In the end, he still had to obediently submit. Kong Ming Ming was not stupid. He changed a bad thing into a good thing in an instant and said directly, Oh, then I won't give in. I'm leaving, Lin Yi said. He turned around to leave. Quack! Kong Ming Ming was stunned. He didn't expect that Lin Yi would leave so decisively. He didn't know how to deal with it. What cheap mouth. Lin Yi had already agreed. So why was he still acting tough for the sake of face? Now that Lin Yi was gone, didn't it mean that the plan he'd made was wasted? This made him a little at a loss. He hesitated for a moment and hurriedly said, Don't, I was just joking. Haha, Lin Yi, don't get too excited. You're already here. It would be a pity if you don't join. Oh, since you wanted to stay, then I'll reluctantly join. But I regret it. Send me an assistant to lure the 5 malefic dragon. I think he's a good person. What do you think? Lin Yi said. He pointed at Lu Taisho and said. Lin Yi didn't like this kind of two-faced guy. He had chosen to submit after hearing his name, but now he was on Pin Liang's side. There was no way Lin Yi would let him go. I think Kong Ming Ming was in a difficult position. This person was obviously Pin Liang's underling. If he made the decision, it would be the same as offending Pin Liang. That'd be offending Pin Liang too. He'd said he'd protect the others, and now he'd have to hand one over for Lin Yi. This wasn't the case. Oh, since Lin Yi needs it, then let Lu Taisho go. It's a trial anyway. I think it's normal for him to make sacrifice. Pin Liang was going to cause trouble during the trial, and if Lin Yi left now, who would he deal with? Lu Taisho was an insignificant person, so it didn't matter if he was handed over. Lu Taisho's expression changed. He didn't think that he would be the first to be handed over after joining Pin Liang. This made him very depressed. If he knew this would happen, he would have joined Lin Yi. Although he could lure the 5 malefic dragon with Lin Yi, at least Lin Yi would protect him. Now he was just cannon fodder. Liang bro, I can't do it. I'm not experienced enough. What if I mess things up? Lu Taisho was a little numb. He didn't want to die. It wasn't easy to come here to participate in the trial, and his goal was to ascend to heavenly Tao, not to die. Since Lin Yi thinks so highly of you, you must have something special about you. Kong Xiaoming, naturally, wouldn't let Lu Taisho off the hook after Pin Liang agreed. He interrupted him immediately. I think you shouldn't look down on yourself. Let's just do this. Kong Ming Ming made the final decision, and Lu Taisho had no other choice. He knew that he was going to die. He looked at Kong Ming Ming gloomily. I'm withdrawing from the trial. Cancel my registration. I'm not going. Oh, Kong Ming Ming was startled. He didn't expect Lu Taisho to play this trick. But to be honest, whether Lu Taisho went or not had nothing to do with Kong Ming Ming. What he was afraid of was that Lin Yi would be unhappy if Lu Taisho left. It wouldn't be fun if Lu Taisho left as well. Pin Liang's expression changed, but Lin Yi raised his hand and punched at Lu Taisho. The 20th form of Frenzy Fist was the strongest form of Lin Yi's normal techniques, but even a normal technique was far stronger than other people's 20 forms. This was equivalent to the 21st form. Even if it hit Lu Taisho, if it didn't kill him, it would at least cripple him. Boom dash, a loud sound rang out, and Lu Taisho was sent flying by Lin Yi's attack. He smashed into the ground not far away, creating a human-shaped crater. He spat out a mouthful of blood, evidently suffering from serious internal injuries. Since he's not a participant anymore, I'll finish him off here. Saves me the trouble of bringing him to the trial. Lin Yi said faintly, "Originally, if he had contributed in the trial, I could have spared his life. Since he doesn't want to go, then there's no need to go." Although Lin Yi's words were indifferent, it made everyone present tremble. Lin Yi was too overbearing. He attacked without warning. He really couldn't be provoked. However, Kong Mingming's anger was vented in his heart. Who told Lu Taisho to not listen to orders? Haha. Yes, since he doesn't want to participate, then his life and death has nothing to do with our Five Elements sect. Kong Mingming said faintly. Then, Lin Yi, who do you need to help you now? No need, I'll do it myself. Lin Yi waved his hand. He glanced at Xiao Ran not far away. He saw Xiao Ran standing at the back of the participants, watching Lu Taisho get beaten up with some excitement. Chapter 3509. Haha, that's good. In that case, let's go to the trial. Kong Mingming also saw the Xianshan ancestor walking over at this time. After the Xianshan ancestor walked over, everyone present immediately quieted down. After all, the Xianshan ancestor was unreachable in their hearts. Although they were all experts at the great perfection of Heaven Stage, perhaps only Lin Yi could compete with him. Okay, the teleportation array has been opened. Participants, please follow me. The Xianshan ancestor said. Kong Mingming nodded and led the heirs to follow the Xianshan ancestor to the teleportation array in the distance. This was a large array left behind from ancient times. It was said that it was set up by a formation master, but the formation master had disappeared and not even a bit of information was left behind. Therefore, no one knew how to set up and repair the array. They only knew how to use it, and this array could only be used a few times. It was said that there was a limit to the number of times it could be used. The Xianshan ancestor made a gesture, and Kong Mingming let the participants enter in a line. They entered what looked like a teleportation tunnel, and then the participants in front of them disappeared. Xiao Ran, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing were the last to enter before Kong Mingming. After entering the tunnel, everything suddenly became dark, but soon it became clear. Almost in an instant, Lin Yi arrived at the Five Fiends mountain range. Although Lin Yi couldn't determine where it was in the Five Fiends mountain range, judging from the surrounding environment and the density of the Five Fiends chi here, it must be the Five Fiends mountain range. After taking a deep breath, Lin Yi said to Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan, "You two are here to gain experience. Don't get too close to the Five Fiends dragon." Okay. Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan nodded and said, "Then be careful." "I'll be fine," Lin Yi said indifferently. Then Kong Mingming came in, and behind him were the heirs and the people from the heirs sections. These people were also going to follow the inheritor into the Five Evils Dragon Cave to protect the inheritor. Although Boss Bai wasn't here, Tian Chan was there to protect Guan Xin. When everyone was present, Kong Mingming and Pin Liang led the participants to a safe place to hide. Before they left, Kong Mingming said, "The strongest person under the Heavenly Tao will be counting on you later. In order to avoid affecting your performance, we'll hide first. When the time comes, you can lure out the dragon of Five Evils by yourself." Lin Yi sneered. He signaled for Xinyan and Han Jingjing to hide with Xiao Ran. Xiao Ran clearly didn't fit in with Pin Liang's group, so he hid further away. Lin Yi wasn't worried about his character, so he let Xinyan and Han Jingjing hide there. The cave of the Five Evils dragon was a little steep, and Tian Chan and the heirs prepared to hide at the side of the cave. Once Lin Yi lured out the dragon of Five Evils, she'd bring the heirs in. Although what Lin Yi was about to do was a little dangerous, Tian Chan wasn't too worried. After all, she and Lin Yi were on good terms. It wasn't the first time they'd met the Dragon of Five Evils, so they were quite familiar with it. Lin Yi made arrangements for Xin Yan and Han Jingjing before jumping up. There was still some distance between them and the cave, so Lin Yi couldn't see what was going on inside. He didn't know if the Dragon of Five Evils had noticed them or not. The Dragon of Five Evils was very intelligent, and it liked to play tricks on people. As a result, Lin Yi wasn't sure if it sensed people coming or not. Was it planning on toying with them later? Tian Chan followed closely behind Lin Yi. She went up the platform, and the other heirs followed behind her, going up the platform. These are the people closest to Lin Yi, so Lin Yi didn't lure out the Dragon of Five Evils straight away. He wanted to wait for them to come up and settle down before doing so. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Xiao Xiao all went up, and now it was Tang Yun's turn. She saw Lin Yi, but she couldn't recognize him. She was very conflicted, and when she got to the platform, she slipped and fell. She was a sky class, and wouldn't be injured from falling, but she still jumped in fright. Lin Yi was watching the heirs go up the platform, and when he saw Tang Yun fall, he subconsciously reached out to grab her, preventing her from falling. It was an unintentional action, but when Tang Yun's hand was grabbed by Lin Yi's heart started pounding. It was a familiar feeling. Feeling the coldness of Tang Yun's hand, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. It was as if they'd held hands in a past life. Lin Yi didn't want to let go. Lin Yi looked at Tang Yun, stunned. Tang Yun's face was red, and her hand was caught by Lin Yi. She couldn't pull it out, but she didn't want to either. Tang Yun wanted time to stop right there. She wanted the world to be left with only her and Lin Yi and no one else. But she knew that it was just a fantasy, not realistic. She hadn't broken through to full circle, and she couldn't recognize Lin Yi yet. She just had to endure it a little longer. Maybe it would be soon. Ahem. Sydney, who was behind Tang Yun, couldn't help coughing. She didn't want anything to happen to Tang Yun at such a crucial moment. Tang Yun woke up from her thoughts and subconsciously wanted to pull her hand out from Lin Yi's hand, but the ring on Tang Yun's hand scratched Lin Yi's palm. Lin Yi let go and saw the ring on Tang Yun's ring finger. Lin Yi was stunned. Usually, a woman would only wear a ring on her ring finger after getting engaged or married, but Tang Yun, as an heir, was wearing a ring. This made Lin Yi a little confused. However, when the ring was reflected in Lin Yi's eyes, Lin Yi's mind went blank, as if something was attacking his brain. Countless memory fragments, at this moment, rushed into Lin Yi's brain. The messy memory fragments instantly filled Lin Yi's brain. The barbecue stall on the food street, the girl under the shade of the tree in the afternoon, the girl who accompanied him back home, the tolerant girlfriend. Lin Yi grabbed Tang Yun's hand once more. Those messy memories slowly formed into a complete set of memories, becoming clearer and clearer in his mind. Those beautiful memories formed a happy love history. Chapter 35:10. Was it his past life? But the time, place, and people were all in this life. This ring left a deep impression on Lin Yi. This was the first time Lin Yi bought a ring in the mall, and he gave it to his first girlfriend. His thoughts seemed to return to the night when he established his relationship with Tang Yun. Tang Yun was kidnapped by Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo, and Lin Yi saved her. It was also that night that Tang Yun's impression of Lin Yi changed drastically. If it wasn't for Zhong Pingliang, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to piece these trivial memories together so quickly. But with Zhong Pingliang's help, it was much easier for Lin Yi. In addition, when he first bought this ring, Lin Yi had a deep impression of it. He bought it at a place called Lu Weishan Jewelry Store, and there was another jewelry store salesgirl who sneered at him. Later, when he went to Lu Weishan to get pure topaz, he felt that the name Lu Weishan was very familiar. It felt like déjà vu, but he didn't remember it at the time. Now it seemed that it was because he had bought the jewelry from a shop. This group of fragmented memories slowly intertwined, and it made Lin Yi remember a lot. But why did Tang Yun go to Snow Valley? Why didn't Lin Yi have this memory? Lin Yi remembered the previous memories, but there was nothing after that. Tang Yun seemed to have disappeared in a thin air, directly went to Snow Valley, and left Lin Yi's life. But This shouldn't be possible. Why did Tang Yin suddenly leave? Did someone force her, or did she have no other choice? And why did he forget Tang Yin? It was as if this person had never appeared in his life. Although there were some memory gaps, but before Lin, he didn't suspect too much. After all, losing memories was too strange, but now it seemed that it really happened to Lin Yi. And why? He didn't have Tang Yin's memory, and Tang Yin didn't seem to recognize him. Why was it that Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and even Xiao Xiao never mentioned Tang Yin to him? Could it be that everyone had collectively lost their memories? That didn't seem right. It was almost as if Mrs. Tang hadn't lost her memory. Otherwise, why would Mrs. Tang treat her so well? Always giving him good things and helping him time and time again? At that time, he was a little confused. He thought that Mrs. Tang was a good person, but when he recalled her personality, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Perhaps Mrs. Tang only treated him this way. Yin Yin. Lin Yi tried calling her name. Tang Yun's body trembled. She raised her head in disbelief and looked at Lin Yi. Did Lin Yi think of something? At this moment, her heart was conflicted. She hoped that Lin Yi would think of her, but she was also afraid that it would affect his cultivation. Yin Yin. You remember me, right? Lin Yi saw Tang Yun's reaction and immediately confirmed that Tang Yun remembered him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such a big reaction. If someone she didn't know called her that, she would only show some confusion and confusion. She wouldn't be this excited. Mr. Lin, you got the wrong person. Tang Yin took a deep breath and said faintly, Lin Yi, please behave yourself. This is the heir of Snowy Valley. Don't touch her, or I won't be polite. Sydney spoke up as well, warning Lin Yi. This was a crucial moment for Tang Yin to break through to sky-class perfection. If Lin Yi disturbed her emotions, it would be a huge sin. Lin Yi looked at Sydney coldly. You think you can threaten me? You can ask Kong Ming Ming. Even Elder Xianxian wouldn't dare to talk to me like this. You. Sydney's breath stopped. Seeing that Kong Ming Ming didn't respond, she couldn't help but feel annoyed. Indeed, with Lin Yi's strength, he was basically invincible under the heavenly Tao. However, Lin Yi's life was saved by Snowy Valley. Thinking of this, Sydney frowned and said to Lin, Young hero Lin, can I have a word with you? Oh, Lin, he didn't want to have a word with her. But looking at Sydney, he didn't want to offend her. After all, her relationship with Tang Yin was not bad. There might be some hidden story, so he nodded and said, All right. Lin Yi followed Sydney to a cliff not far away. Although Kong Ming Ming saw it, he didn't say anything. Lin Yi would die sooner or later anyway. So what if he died earlier or later? Young hero Lin, you must have remembered something, right? Shueli let out a sigh. She knew that the Heartless Herbs medicinal liquid was effective for ordinary cultivators, but it was ineffective for those who had reached the heaven-level great completion. As long as there was an opportunity, one could recover their memory. Since Lin Yi was already a master of this level, Sydney wasn't surprised that he could remember. That's right. Why is Tang Yun in Snowy Valley? What's going on? I hope you can give me a reasonable explanation. Lin Yi said, although your current strength is enough to look down on Snowy Valley, I still have to say that you and Tang Yun had a deal with Snowy Valley. I don't want you to break the deal after you have the strength. Shueli said, although the strong are respected in the world of cultivation, at least we helped you before. Moreover, Tang Yun agreed to the deal willingly. Meng Yao and Yu Shu were there too, and they didn't object, so, all right, tell me what happened. Sydney's words made Lin even more surprised. Meng Yao and Yu Shu knew about it too, and it was a deal. Tang Yun was willing. Back then, you were possessed and needed the ice spirit fruit, but Meng Yao's family had some problems and couldn't take out that much money. So, Tang Yun accepted Snowy Valley's inheritance at that time, and we used him as a condition to solve the problem for you. Sydney said simply, don't you remember that you were possessed? Oh, Lin Yi fell in a deep thought. Indeed, that was the second time he opened the stone door after he returned to West Star Village. He was prepared to use the method on the stone door to refine his body, but in the end, he was possessed. Chapter 35:11. Now that he thought about it, It turned out that he didn't resolve his chi deviation by himself, but Shuigu helped him. So that was how Tang Yin stayed in Shuigu. Thinking of this, Lin Yi sighed. Sydney was right. Shuigu was kind to him. But Lin Yi didn't understand. Tang Yun is already an inheritor. I naturally won't force her to give up. In fact, Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Yu Ning all went to their sects to become practitioners with my permission. What are you guarding against? Why do you want me to forget Tang Yin? What did you do to me? Our Shuigu's mantra is different from other sects. Not all inheritors have the same mantra. Sydney said, Shuigu cultivates the heartless mantra. It needs to be heartless in order to break through to heaven full cycle. Although inheritors don't have any barriers, if their mantra can't break through, it's useless. Our original idea was to let Tang Yun forget you, and then let her cultivate the heartless mantra, but Tang Yun was afraid that you would bear the pain of parting. So she gave you the heartless grass to drink, so you forgot her. This way, she could bear the pain of love alone and slowly cultivate. Because you forgot her, she didn't think about you anymore, so she could cultivate smoothly. Right now, Tang Yun is only left with the last step. Although you remember her, I hope you won't disturb her and let her smoothly ascend to Heaven Realm great perfection. Otherwise, it will affect the entire inheritance plan and the Heaven Realm Island plan. I see. Lin Yi took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, for the sake of the big picture, I cannot disturb her. But once she advances to the great perfection of the heaven rank, can we recognize each other? Yes. Sydney hesitated but didn't reject because she knew that even if she wanted to, Lin Yi wouldn't agree. Lin Yi's question was only out of respect for her. Moreover, Tang Yun had advanced to heaven full cycle. The next step was to advance to heaven Dao, and when that time came, it was unknown how she would advance. Therefore, Sydney didn't think too much about it. Okay, Lin Yi replied. He glanced at Tang Yun from the corner of his eyes. He really wanted to hug Tang Yun in his arms. She was such a good girl. In order to not let Lin Yi suffer, she endured the pain herself. Lin Yi really wanted to tell her that he really missed her and that she had suffered during this period of time. However, he had promised Sydney. However, he couldn't do that. Take Tang Yun away. I'm going to lure the dragon of 5 demons. Sydney nodded and walked towards Tang Yun's direction without saying anything. Tang Yun had been waiting anxiously for the result. She didn't know what Sydney and Lin Yi talked about, and she didn't use her sky-class senses. If she did, Sydney would definitely feel it. But, although Tang Yun didn't know what Sydney and Lin Yi talked about, it was obvious that they had come to an agreement. Tang Yun sighed and left with Sydney. The most disappointed were Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao, and Yu Shu. They were all hoping that Lin Yi and Tang Yun would reunite. Yu Shu and Xiao Xiao had discussed it, and they were ready to shout, "Together, together, together!" But Sydney and Lin Yi didn't give them that chance. Lin Yi walked towards the dragon of 5 demons cave, while Tian Chan organized the inheritors to the side of the cave. He tiptoed into the cave, and Lin Yi realized that the dragon of 5 demons already knew what was going on outside. It was staring at the cave, and when it saw Lin Yi, it yawned in surprise. Roar, why are you here? Why can't it be me? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Why is it always you? The dragon of 5 demons asked. Lin Yi was speechless. Do me a favor, give me your cave for a while, and then come out for a walk with me. Let's pretend to fight and fight for 300 rounds. How about that? Boring. The dragon of 5 demons shook its head. I've already touched the path of the heavens, and I have time to study it. I don't want to do something boring. Senior Ghost, this dragon of 5 demons isn't very obedient. Why don't you come out and teach it a lesson? Lin Yi started to use the tiger's skin as an excuse. If you didn't have a powerful backer, I would have thrown you out long ago. Do you think I would be able to talk to you calmly? The dragon of 5 demons was a little depressed. All right, stop looking. I'll cooperate with you. You really have nothing better to do. Actually, I have a presumptuous request. Later, I'll give you some blood, and you'll give me some blood. How about that? Lin Yi asked shamelessly. You're asking for a yard after giving me an inch, aren't you? The dragon of 5 demons stared at Lin Yi angrily. Senior Ghost, it won't give it to me. Lin Yi said. What else can you do besides calling for your backer? The dragon of 5 demons was even more depressed. All right, I'll give it to you, all right? Thank you. Lin Yi chuckled. In fact, the Senior Ghost was sleeping, and it couldn't care less about something as trivial as Lin Yi's. As long as it wasn't a matter of life and death for Lin Yi, it would normally be in a state of hibernation. It wouldn't even communicate with Lin Yi, let alone teach the dragon of 5 demons a lesson. However, the dragon of 5 demons didn't know the relationship between Lin Yi and the ghost. It was afraid that Lin Yi would really call the ghost out and scare it, so it agreed to Lin Yi's request. All right, let's pretend to fight. I'll be injured, and you give me some blood. Then, I'll pretend to be defeated and run away. When you're done with the cave, I'll come back, the dragon of 5 demons said to Lin Yi. Okay. Lin Yi nodded in satisfaction. There was an angry roar, and Lin Yi came running out of the dragon's cave. Behind him was a dragon that was chasing after him. Lin Yi didn't know what Lin Yi had done to offend it, but it looked like it was going crazy. Seeing that the Pentabane dragon had run out of the cave, Tian Chan quickly led the inheritors into the Pentabane dragon's cave. Then, according to Tian Chan's instructions, each of the inheritors occupied a spot in the Pentabane dragon's cave. Then, they began to circulate the mantra and strengthen their inheritance. They also prepared to resist the pressure of the other Pentabane Chis and prepare to break through. Behind them were people from the sect protecting them. Tian Chan, on the other hand, was there to protect Guan Xin, as well as to coordinate the overall situation. Lin Yi ran out of the cave and led the dragon of 5 demons towards Kong Ming Ming. As he ran, Lin Yi shouted, "The dragon of 5 demons is here. Everyone, prepare for battle." Chapter 35:12. Kong Xiaoming saw Lin Yi's dragon of 5 malevolence, and a cold smile flashed on his face. Lin Yi, I've had enough of you. Let's see if you'll die today. I couldn't kill you in the common world, so I had to compromise and force a smile in front of you. But this time you're dead. Don't move, everyone. Lin Yi is the #1 under the heavenly Tao, the #1 wandering practitioner. Let him handle this on his own. We'll just be causing trouble if we go. Kong Ming Ming smiled coldly at the other participants. All right. Everyone nodded in agreement. This was a great thing. They didn't need to waste any energy. They could just stay here and get experience. Who wouldn't want that? As for Lin Yi's life or death, what did that have to do with them? They all had the same thought, but Xiao Ran, on the other hand, was nervous as he watched Lin Yi. He wanted to jump out and help. Heroines, will young hero Lin be able to handle it alone? Why don't we go help him? Xiao Ran suggested after some hesitation. It might piss off Kong Ming Ming's group, but he couldn't just ignore it. After all, Lin Yi had stood up for him before. Lin Yi bro should be able to handle it. We don't have to worry. Han Jingjing shook her head. We'll just be causing trouble for him if we go. Ah, I see. Xiao Ran blinked, but Xin Yan nodded. He didn't say anything else. He was an outsider, after all, and these 2 people close to Lin Yi had said so. He had no choice but to let it go, though he still looked at Lin Yi nervously. Liang bro, we'll stick to our plan. Once Lin Yi loses, you deal with Xin Yan, and I'll deal with that Xiao Ran. Leave Han Jingjing for my wife to torture. Kong Ming Ming said. No problem. Zhong Pinliang nodded. It wasn't easy for him to have a chance to turn things around, so he naturally wouldn't let it go. Actually, at the end of the day, the hatred between him and Lin Yi wasn't that big. It was just that small incident at school. It was just that it had been fermented and upgraded step by step to where it was today. Facing Lin Yi had become an obsession. Defeating Lin Yi had become his goal. He refused to accept it. Why were they all classmates? Why was his fortuitous encounter not bad? Climbing to the peak step by step, becoming the ancestor of the everyday and everyday sect. How could he not be a match for Lin Yi? Why? He wanted to prove his Tao. He wanted to make a comeback. He wanted to step on Lin Yi and prove that he was the most powerful existence. At the thought, Pin Liang swore to himself. He had to make this trial become Lin Yi's burial ground. However, He watched as Lin Yi and the dragon of 5 malevolence fought for a long time without any results. It was as if the dragon of 5 malevolence couldn't do anything to Lin Yi. Kong Ming was getting anxious, but he could see that Lin Yi's steps were very precise. Every time the dragon of 5 malevolence was about to hit Lin Yi, but Lin Yi dodged it quickly. This wasn't the way to go on. Although Lin Yi's chi would definitely dry up after a long time, the problem was that Lin Yi was a sky-class full-circle master. Even if he ran here for a month, he wouldn't be able to recover. Even if he ran here for a month, his stamina wouldn't dry up. With that thought, Kong Ming was a little depressed. If he waited for 3 days, the inheritor would have already left. Lin Yi wouldn't be finished by then. If this continued, how could he kill Lin Yi? No, this isn't a solution. Kong Ming said, Liang bro, do you have any good ideas? What else can we do? We can't just help the dragon of 5 malevolence attack Lin Yi, right? Pin Liang shook his head. If you think it's possible, then we'll go and attack Lin Yi. That won't work. Kong Ming shook his head. This was a matter of principle. If they didn't control the dragon of 5 malevolence and let it return to the cave, disturbing the inheritor or injuring the inheritor, then Kong Ming would have to bear a huge responsibility. However, Kong Ming's eyes lit up after hearing Pin Liang's words. He immediately came up with a plan. We can't help the dragon of 5 malevolence attack Lin Yi openly, but we can play dirty tricks in the dark. Play dirty tricks in the dark. Pin Liang paused. That's right, we can kill Lin Yi's woman first, distract Lin Yi, and then he'll be distracted, giving the dragon of 5 malevolence a chance. Kong Ming said, that's a good idea. Then, who do we kill first? Pin Liang nodded. To be honest, it was a little shameful to lay a hand on a woman. He was the ancestor of the everyday and everyday sect. After all, and doing something like that wasn't very appropriate. Let's kill Wang Xinyan first. Leave that Han Jingjing to my wife, Little 11, and we'll kill her together. Kong Xiaoming's eyes flashed with viciousness. Lin Yi had made Little 11 look like a ghost, and every night when they did it, Kong Xiaoming had to turn off the lights, not daring to look straight at him. All right. Pin Liang nodded and looked at Nai Peo. Pal, I'll leave this woman to you. She'll be a great tonic for you. But you're already a perfected master. There's not much use to her chi. It's a waste. It's fine. I'll just treat it as a game. Nai Peo said, faintly before walking over to Wang Xinyan. Hey, Wang Xinyan, right? I'm Zhang Nai Peo, and I know you and I have nothing against you. And you're quite pretty, but you're Lin Yi's woman, you know? If you die, you can only blame yourself for finding the wrong man. Xinyan looked at Nai Peo, stunned. You're going to kill me? Nai Peo was speechless. Where did this woman get her sky-class perfected strength from? Why was she no different from a weak girl? He said helplessly, that's right. I'm going to use my practitioner's arts and suck your strength dry. Don't resist if you don't want the pain, or you'll suffer even more. Xinyan paused again. What practitioner's arts are you using? Wasp absorption arts. Nai Peo said proudly. Oh, Xinyan nodded. Then, can I use my practitioner's arts as well? Of course you can, but if you use your practitioner's arts to defend against it, it'll only drain your chi faster. Nai Peo said. Plus, once you use it, you won't be able to stop. Oh, then, what if I accidentally hurt you? Xinyan nodded, a little nervous. Chapter 35:13. Pal, don't waste time talking to her. Just kill her. Pin Liang frowned. All right. Nai Peo nodded without hesitation. Hey, what's so great about bullying a girl? Xiao Ran couldn't take it anymore. I'm telling you, don't be a busybody. I'll kill you if you keep this up. Nai Peo pointed at Xiao Ran as he threatened fiercely. He used to be Pin Liang's follower back in school, and his words were no different from a gangster's. It had been a while since Xiao Ran heard someone curse at him. He was speechless. Still, he said, the purpose of this test is to protect the inheritor. We're all fighting against the 5 malefic dragon together. It's not a place for some people to vent their anger. Oh, go ahead if you want to fight. I won't stop you. Nai Peo curled his lips But if you dare try, you'll die. Xiao ran. Let me try. I haven't fought anyone since I broke through to sky-class perfection. I want to gain some experience. Xin Yan said. Xiao Ran paused, then suddenly remembered that Xin Yan was a sky-class full mastery as well. He thought she was just a weak girl before. He couldn't help but smile bitterly at the thought, but since Xin Yan had already said so, he couldn't really interfere. He nodded. All right, be careful then. I heard that Zhang Naipeo's practitioner's arts are filled with evil energy. Okay. Xin Yan nodded. All right, I'll be careful. Naipeo was speechless. The ignorant were fearless, after all. He didn't know how Xin Yan got a sky-class perfection. But why did she look like she didn't know anything? She didn't even know how a practitioner tried to do it. They were both sky-class perfection. But how could they be the same? The same level, different strength, and different practitioner's arts. Naipeo started channeling his practitioner's arts, and so did Xin Yan. Because she was a woman, Naipeo didn't want to take advantage of her. He was a eunuch too, after all. How? Give him a hard one. Pinliang frowned. Xin Yan and Naipeo were already at each other's throats. But Kong Ming and Pinliang were a little surprised. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't seem to be affected by Xin Yan's actions at all. He only glanced at her once, and then didn't even look at her again. Could it be that Lin, he didn't care about Xin Yan? That's impossible. That's not realistic. If he doesn't care, why would he bring her along? She didn't care why they had to go against the Five Elements sect and the Kong family because of her. If he didn't care, why would he help her raise her strength? Kong Ming and Pinliang couldn't figure out what was going on. Therefore, Pinliang told Naipeo to give Xin Yan a hard one. All right, Naipeo was planning on using his wasp absorption arts to kill Xin Yan. But Pinliang's words left him with no choice but to change his mind and use the chrysanthemum art's mother and Sun Qi against Xin Yan. It was a little cruel to torture a girl, but Naipeo still had to listen to Pinliang, and so he decided to torture Xin Yan to distract Lin Yi. Put out your hand. Let's exchange palms, Naipeo said to Xin Yan. Oh, okay. Xin Yan nodded and put out her hand, and so Naipeo's and Xin Yan's hands met. The way the two fought shocked everyone who was watching. Naipeo was acting cool, and Xin Yan was acting cute. It didn't look like a normal fight between practitioners at all. It was like they had discussed it beforehand. But, other than Han Jingjing, everyone could see what would happen to Xin Yan. She'd die from having her qi sucked dry, and that was a horrible way to die. Even if she didn't die without strength, she'd still be alive. Even if she didn't die, it was still a fate worse than death. Or, if Naipeo injected his qi into her, she'd be tortured to the point where she wished she was dead. Either way, it was extremely cruel. Xin Yan's and Naipeo's palms met, and Naipeo was fully confident that he would be able to inject his qi into Xin Yan. But as soon as he channeled his practitioner's arts, he felt that something wasn't right. Although his true qi had successfully entered Wang Xin Yan's body, he was surprised to find that his true qi didn't stop. Instead, it continued to flow into Wang Xin Yan's body. What was going on? Naipeo's face paled in shock. Why did it have an automatic qi flow reversal? That wasn't right. The practitioner's arts he was channeling was the wasp absorption arts, and he could only get a small amount of qi into Xin Yan's body. It couldn't be flowing like this. His practitioner's arts didn't have this function. What was wrong with it? Xin Yan didn't think that her Nanming arts would actually work, and started absorbing qi from Naipeo's body. Xin Yan was a sky-class late-phase peak now, and this qi wasn't very useful to her, but it didn't affect her absorption. Naipeo's face paled as he tried to stop the practitioner's arts, but it was just like what he said before. He couldn't stop it at all. In actuality, it was Naipeo's unluck. If it weren't for Pinliang telling him to go hard on Xin Yan, he would have used his wasp absorption arts on her already. But the wasp absorption arts and Nanming arts were both derived from the same practitioner's arts, and they were on par with each other. Neither of them could do anything to the other. This meant that no one would be able to absorb the other's qi, and the two would be immune to each other. But now it was different. Naipeo was injecting his qi into Xin Yan, and now he was falling for Xin Yan's Nanming arts. The pure qi in his body kept flowing into Xin Yan's body, and he couldn't stop it even if he wanted to. Nai Peio's face was very ugly, but he couldn't do anything about it. Of course, Pin Liang and the others didn't know what was going on. They only saw Xin Yan and Nai Peio exchanging palms, and while Nai Peio's face wasn't looking too good, they thought that he was trying his best to neutralize Xin Yan's qi. But slowly, they realized that something wasn't right. Xin Yan's face had been calm the whole time, but Nai Peio's face wasn't right at all. Not only was he pale, but beads of sweat were dripping down his forehead. Chapter 35:14. Nai Peio's qi was depleting heavily, and he was gritting his teeth as he tried to fight it off, trying to slow down the absorption and think of a way to escape. He couldn't speak at all, but he didn't want Pin Liang to worry. Not good. Wang Xinyan knows the wasp absorption arts as well. Nai Peio's qi leaked out as he spoke, and the defense in his body was broken. The qi rushed toward Xin Yan, and not long after, he fell to the ground. Pin Liang paused when he heard that Xin Yan knew the wasp absorption arts as well, but before he could react, Nai Peio was already on the ground. Xin Yan was kind and merciful. She didn't kill Nai Peio straight away. She knew that Nai Peio was an enemy, but she'd never killed someone with her own hands before. She couldn't bring herself to do it, and so she let Nai Peio go, sparing his life. Pow! Pin Liang panicked as he ran over and picked Nai Peio up, taking out a pill and shoving it into Nai Peio's mouth. Nai Peio swallowed the pill and rolled his eyes, barely managing to keep his life. Xin Yan had been merciful before, but a sky-class late phase peak using the Naming arts was too powerful, and she didn't want to do that. Nai Peio, on the other hand, couldn't take it and almost died. But even with his life, Nai Peio had lost all of his strength. He'd become a cripple who wasn't even a golden class. Liang bro, I'm done. Nai Peio's face was pale. I can't go to Sky Class Island anymore. What? You're done? Pin Liang was shocked. One had to know that Nai Peio was an important part of the Sky Class Island. If he were to die, then Sky Class Island wouldn't be opened, and no one would be able to break through to Sky Class. Well, the time came. He was an important protector for Tag and Dragon, as important as an inheritor. Although Nai Peio wasn't here, if Tag and Dragon had been a bit stronger, then this plan might have worked. But the problem was that Tag and Dragon wasn't very strong. Even though he had Patriarch Xuanxin's help and nurturing, he had not yet recovered. He had already smoothly advanced to the great perfection of the Heaven Rank and could be used as one of the most important pawns in the Heaven Rank Islands plan. But because of his previous injury, although it had healed, Tag and Dragon had lost his sharpness and perseverance. If that was the case, during the process of opening the Heavenly Step Island, there would be a lot of problems. If Tagon Long couldn't hold on, and Nai Peio couldn't protect him, then he'd be done for. Pin Liang may have a grudge against Lin Yi, but he was also the Mad Dragon Elder of the Everyday and Everyday sect. He naturally knew how important Nai Peio was to this plan. If Nai Peio wasn't here, would the Xianxin Elder go crazy? Thinking of this, Pin Liang couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. He didn't expect Xin Yan to be able to cripple Nai Peio. That's right, this Wang Xinyan knows the wasp absorption arts as well, and she's no weaker than me. Nai Peio said seriously, Why, you're courting death. Pin Liang was furious. If the plan was ruined, then they'd all die together. He raised the golden dragon whip in his hand. He was ready to use his strongest technique, Mad Dragon Tail, to kill Xin Yan to vent his anger. Wait, Kong Ming Ming suddenly yelled. Pin Liang frowned and looked at Kong Ming Ming unhappily. Assistant Kong, what's the meaning of this? What are you doing? Don't kill her, she's useful. Kong Ming Ming said quickly. What do you mean? It's you who wants to kill her, but it's also you who doesn't. What are you doing? Pin Liang raged. With Nai Peio crippled, the Heaven Rank Island plan will be greatly affected. But since Xin Yan also knows the wasp absorption arts, she can also absorb the demonic energy in the 5 Malice Chi and protect Tag and Dragon and the other inheritors. Kong Ming Ming said, "HM?" Pin Liang paused, but made sense after thinking about it. Zhang Naipeo's role was like that, and so was Xin Yan's. It wasn't like he couldn't use Xin Yan as a replacement, but that way the everyday sect would go from being the leader to a subordinate sect, and he wouldn't have anything to do. He regretted listening to Zhao Ming and sending Zhang Naipeo to kill Xin Yan. Not only did Xin Yan fail, but Zhang Naipeo was the one who'd killed her. All right, I'll keep her alive. But Lin, he can't be kept alive. Pin Liang was determined as well. He was going to kill Lin Yi himself. Mad Dragon Fury was Pin Liang's ultimate skill, able to force weaker cultivators to submit to him. Of course, it could also force spirit beasts to submit to him. But whether or not it worked on dragons, Pin Liang wasn't sure. He was going to pressure the dragon of 5 evils, provoking its rage. The battle between Lin Yi and the dragon of 5 fiends seemed intense, but a closer look would reveal that it was more like an eagle chasing a chick. One was chasing, and the other was running. Neither of them seemed to be serious. The dragon of 5 evils didn't, and neither did Lin Yi. As such, Lin Yi could maintain his chi until the inheritor's blessing ended, and there wouldn't be any results. If he wanted the dragon of 5 evils to kill Lin Yi, he had to make it angry. Spirit beasts like this had a temper, and it was fine if you didn't piss it off, but once you did, it would retaliate like a storm. And so, Pin Liang decided to pressure the dragon of 5 evils a little, provoking its rage and letting it kill Lin Yi. The dragon of 5 evils was a type of dragon, but it was a mutated one. It wasn't a real dragon anymore, and so Pin Liang was confident in pressuring it. After all, he was the real dragon's practitioner's arts. Mad Dragon Fury, Dragon Totem. Pin Liang took a step forward and yelled. The whip was like a raging dragon, flashing with a golden light as it lashed at the dragon of 5 demons. The head of the whip was like a dragon breathing fire, and even the thick skin of the dragon of 5 demons couldn't help but feel like it was being barbecued. Pin Liang took a step forward and roared. Pin Liang roared, and the image of a dragon totem appeared behind him. For double insurance, Pin Liang used Mad Dragon Fury and the dragon totem at the same time, aiming to make the dragon of 5 evils submit. Chapter 35:15. The dragon only looked like a dragon. Perhaps it had some ancient genes in it, but it wasn't a dragon. It couldn't fight against Pin Liang's dragon totem at all. It wasn't willing, but there was nothing it could do. This wasn't just the fear of the dragon totem. It was also the natural pressure of the spirit beasts. It was too strong, and it couldn't fight back. Ha ha ha! Pin Liang laughed maniacally. As far as he was concerned, the dragon of 5 fiends wouldn't have a high IQ after being pestered by Lin Yi nonstop. Pin Liang assumed that the dragon of 5 fiends would feel humiliated after being pressured and would attack Lin Yi in a frenzy. Lin Yi didn't understand what was going on. What was Pin Liang trying to do? Was he trying to help him? After seeing Naipeo crippled by Wang Xinyan, was he trying to get on his good side and help him fight the dragon of 5 evils? It wasn't very likely, but this was a good chance for Lin Yi to cover up. He and the dragon of 5 evils had discussed this before, and they were going to find a chance to pretend that the dragon of 5 evils couldn't win and let Lin Yi stab it to get some of its blood. But right now, Lin Yi was running in front, and the dragon of 5 evils was chasing from behind. Lin Yi didn't have a chance to counterattack. If he cheated, it would look too fake, and Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do it. This was a golden opportunity. Lin Yi saw the dragon of 5 evils lying on the ground, and quickly took out a small knife and bottle from his jade space. He stabbed the dragon's leg and let out some blood, filling up the bottle. Roar! The dragon of 5 evils pretended to be in pain and roared. Pin Liang was stunned as well. He didn't expect this. Lin Yi was stabbing the dragon of 5 evils with a knife? Was Lin Yi trying to slay a dragon? Was he trying to defy the heavens? It was already good enough to fight the dragon of 5 evils, but slaying a dragon was just a pipe dream. But this was good too. Pin Liang was worried that the dragon of 5 wrath wouldn't get angry. Not only did it get pressured, Lin Yi even gave it a stab. It wouldn't be the king of spirit beasts if it didn't go on a rampage. You won't die if you don't court death. If you hadn't stabbed him, you might not have died. Now that you've stabbed him, you're going to die. That would be death for sure. However, the 5 Evils dragon's skin was really thick and tough. When Lin Yi stabbed it with a saber earlier, the 5 Evils dragon's skin was really thick and tough. He had already used the full power of the peak late stage of heaven rank and only managed to make a small wound. This was not a beast that ordinary cultivators could deal with. At the thought of this, Zhong Pingliang quickly stopped the circulation of violent dragon power. Because Lin Yi was still within close range of the dragon of 5 Evils. Once this pressure disappeared, Lin Yi would probably be sent flying with a single slap, right? Waha! After Zhong Pingliang stopped, he looked at Lin Yi proudly, imagining Lin Yi being tortured to death by the dragon of 5 Evils. However, the scene he imagined didn't happen. The dragon of 5 Evils stood up. It didn't attack Lin Yi, but with a whoosh. Instead, it turned around and attacked Zhong Pingliang, who was standing not far away. Zhong Pingliang jumped in fright. He didn't expect the dragon of 5 Evils to attack him instead of Lin Yi. He was scared out of his wits and quickly ran away. And so, the dragon of 5 Evils that was chasing Lin Yi became chasing Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang was depressed. What the hell was going on? The dragon of 5 Evils didn't look very smart. How could it tell that the pressure came from him? And even if it came from him, Lin Yi had stabbed it before. It didn't retaliate against Lin Yi, who was closest to it, but pounced on Zhong Pingliang, who was not far away. It was unbelievable, but Zhong Pingliang had no choice. How could he reason with it? There was no way to reason with him. Moreover, he did not dare to continue using the Violent Dragon Divine exercise. Although the Violent Dragon Divine exercise was effective against experts under Heaven Stage Great Circle, and it was not weak against the 5 Evils dragon. But when he used the Violent Dragon Divine exercise, the consumption of his physical strength and true chi was quite large. If he kept using it, then his physical strength and true chi would be quickly exhausted. What if he ran out of chi? Wouldn't he be attacked by the dragon of 5 Evils? Without chi, he wouldn't be able to run even if he wanted to. The pressure of violent dragon power was used to attack during the pressure, but the dragon of 5 Evils was suppressed. Even if it attacked, what use would it be? Who could do anything to it? Didn't they see that Lin Yi, the number 1 under Heavenly Tao, used all his strength and only managed to make a small wound? This dragon of 5 Evils couldn't be dealt with at all. The elder Xianxian had told him so before. If he couldn't deal with it, then what use was the pressure? Right now, Nai Peo was still crippled. If he hadn't been crippled, he could have asked Nai Peo to try and see if he could use his wasp absorption arts to suck all the chi out of the dragon's body, making it drop to below golden class. But Nai Peo couldn't try it out, and Zhong Pingliang was left alone. Assistant Kong, send someone to help me. Pingliang was sweating profusely. He didn't have Lin Yi's exquisite footwork, and so Lin Yi fighting the dragon of 5 Evils seemed like a joke. But if it was him, he'd be in grave danger. One moment of carelessness, and he'd be hit by the dragon of 5 Evils' claws. Kong Ming was hesitant as well. He couldn't decide if he should help Pingliang or not, because things had deviated from their original plan. They'd wanted the dragon of 5 Evils to deal with Lin Yi, but now it had abandoned Lin Yi and only chased after Pingliang. Now, if they were to help, it'd mean that they'd be fighting together, and it'd be impossible to kill Lin Yi. Lin Yi, why aren't you helping? Don't you want to help? Kong Ming rolled his eyes and called out to Lin Yi. I've been working hard all this time, and I'm tired. I need a rest. Lin Yi said faintly. If you don't help, I'll assume that you're not stopping. Kong Ming said. Oh, all right, I'll give it a try. Lin Yi nodded, smiling coldly in his heart. You forced my hand. I wasn't planning on attacking Little 11 in the test, since everyone was targeting the dragon of 5 Evils. If Lin Yi had targeted Little 11 alone, it'd be too obvious. But now, it seemed like Lin Yi wasn't planning on letting Little 11 go. If Kong Ming wasn't being nice, then Lin Yi couldn't blame him. Chapter 35:16. Roar. The dragon of 5 evils roared at Lin E as if it was annoyed, but Lin E knew it. Lin E ran and pretended to chase after the dragon of 5 evils. At this time, the dragon of 5 evils seemed to be a little afraid of Lin E. Seeing the dagger in Lin Yi's hand, it didn't dare to get close. What the hell was going on? Wasn't the dragon of 5 evils chasing Lin E? Why was it Lin E chasing the dragon of 5 evils now? This dragon of 5 evils was so cowardly. Was it afraid of Lin E after being stabbed? But he had been suppressing it for a long time. Why was it not hurt at all? It even dared to chase after him? Pin Liang thought gloomily. However, he was afraid of the dragon of 5 evils. Naturally, he ran towards Kong Ming Ming, where there were more people. This saved Lin E the trouble of pretending to chase after him. Kong Ming Ming was shocked and quickly said to everyone, "Get ready to fight." As soon as he finished speaking, the dragon of 5 evils suddenly sped up and rushed in front of him. Fortunately, Kong Ming Ming was a cunning person. As soon as he finished speaking, he dodged, and the dragon of 5 evils grabbed Little 11, who was next to Kong Ming Ming. "Ah!" Little 11 exclaimed. She didn't expect the dragon of 5 evils to come so suddenly. "Kong Ming Ming, save me." In fact, even if Kong Ming Ming didn't run, the dragon of 5 evils wouldn't have caught him. It was following Lin Yi's order to catch Little 11. But Kong Ming Ming didn't know that. He was shocked when he saw Little 11. Luckily, he ran fast, or else he would have been caught. Save Little 11? Kong Ming Ming wouldn't do anything. Previously, he had concocted pills for her because the 5 Elements sect had enough energy stones to replenish his physical strength and true qi, so he could concoct pills indefinitely. Moreover, he didn't have to spend any money on the materials. He wanted to curry favor with Ancestor Xianxun while he was at it, but to ask him to risk his life to save the 11th? What a joke. Kong Ming Ming didn't dare to do it, but on the surface he still shouted, "Hey, that dinosaur, let go of that heroine." The dragon of 5 evils glanced at Kong Ming Ming coldly. Roar! Kong Ming Ming was so scared that he almost knelt on the ground. Little 11 looked at Kong Ming Ming's cowardly appearance and suddenly felt a little desperate. Her breathing became a little rapid as she struggled to say, "Kong Ming Ming, quickly ask them to save me. If I die, my father, Patriarch Xianxun, will not let you off. Everyone, let's go together. Rush up and kill the dragon of 5 evils." Zhao Ming roared and turned to Pin Yang. "Liang bro, hurry up and give the 5 malefic dragons some more pressure. Make it let Little 11 go. My physical strength and true qi are almost used up. The pressure won't last long." Zhong Pingyang said, "I can only do it for 30 seconds at most. Otherwise, it will affect my physical strength and true qi. No matter what." Zhong Pingliang still gave face to Kong Ming Ming. After all, he was the son-in-law of the 5 Elements sect's Patriarch Xianxun. Zhong Pingliang couldn't ignore him. However, as soon as Zhong Pingliang finished speaking, the dragon of 5 evils seemed to be able to hear him. It directly raised its front claws and suddenly spun a few times in the air. Whoosh! It was thrown in Han Jingjing's direction. Ah! Little 11 was sent flying. To be honest, she only had a body full of levels, but she had no strength. She was a cripple whose meridians were all damaged. Even though she had increased her level, her body could not store up the physical strength and true qi, so she could not use the mantra. To be honest, her lifespan could be extended indefinitely. She was similar to Zhang Naipeo now. She still had the level, but she had no strength. Her real strength wasn't even at golden class. So, her head went straight into the soil. There was no protection at all. Half of her body in the soil was unknown. Wow, there's a monster. Han Jingjing suddenly had 2 silver needles in her hands. She directly inserted them into Little 11's legs. Originally, Han Jingjing wanted to insert herself in the middle, but she still didn't do it. She was not a vicious person. Although Little 11 was very cruel to her in the past, it was impossible for Han Jingjing to be the same as Little 11. Han Jingjing directly burned the silver needles with 2 elixir flames. Little Eleven's legs immediately trembled. Obviously, she wasn't dead. She was still alive. The high temperature of the Dan fire passed through the silver needles to the meridians under her feet. Especially since her meridians were broken, it spread directly through her body, causing her unbearable pain. "What are you doing?" Kong Ming Ming was a little angry. Pin Liang, on the other hand, didn't use Mad Dragon Arts anymore. After all, Little 11 had been thrown out. There was no need for him to waste his energy. "There's a big monster here with a head like a leg. Jingjing is so scared," Han Jingjing said in a trembling voice. "You." Kong Ming Ming was furious. He laughed coldly. "I wanted Little 11 to kill you personally, but I don't think I need to keep you alive anymore. Go to hell. You should be happy to die under my ultimate move." With that, Kong Ming Ming took a step forward. He put his hands together and pushed out, activating his strongest move, Dan Firebomb. Boom dash! A fireball flew towards Han Jingjing's head. This was the ultimate move that Elder Xianxun taught to Kong Ming Ming. He had been preparing to use it against the Dragon of 5 Malefic, but he didn't expect to use it on Han Jingjing. This was a move that wasted a lot of energy, but at this moment, Kong Ming Ming didn't care so much. However, at this time, the Dragon of 5 Malefic didn't feel the pressure of Pin Liang's Mad Dragon Arts. After throwing Little 11 away, it ran towards Little 11 again. When it reached him, it stretched out its front claws and pulled Little 11 out of the ground. Boom dash! At this moment, Kong Ming Ming's Dan Firebomb flew over. Kong Ming Ming had calculated that the Dan Firebomb would pass above Little 11's legs and hit Han Jingjing's head. However, the Dragon of 5 Malefic happened to pull Little 11 out, so the Dan Firebomb hit Little 11's abdomen, blowing a huge hole in it. Little 11 let out a blood-curdling screech, and the 5 Banes dragon happened to raise its front claws in the air. As a result, Little 11's upper and lower body were only connected by a layer of skin and flesh, and his bones had already been shattered. Thus, after just 2 swings, Little 11's upper body was sent flying. Chapter 35:17. The Dragon of 5 Evils also looked at Little 11, who only had half of his body left in his claws, and then he curled his lips and threw Little 11's 2 legs directly at Kong Ming Ming. Kong Ming Ming was dumbfounded at this moment. He didn't expect his alchemic firebomb to explode on Little 11's body. Then he saw Little 11's upper body fly away, and he was even more frightened. Although Little 11 was killed by the Dragon of 5 Evils, he should be considered an accomplice. He was the one who shot out the alchemic firebomb. After returning, would the Xianxun ancestor blame him? What should he do? Bang! Little 11's 2 legs smashed on Kong Ming Ming's head, and it immediately made him even more dizzy. What should he do? Little 11 would definitely die. But now, how should he deal with the Dragon of 5 Evils? Kong Ming Ming was a little regretful. Wasn't he a scumbag? Why did he let Zhong Pingliang pressure him for no reason? He just let Lin Yi and the Dragon of 5 Evils run around in circles. Now, not only was Little 11 dead, but the Dragon of 5 Evils was also not going to let it go. Fuck! Kong Ming Ming stood up and ran. After killing Little 11, the Dragon of 5 Evils did not attack Han Jingjing, but turned to run towards Kong Ming Ming. Fortunately, Linny did not kill Kong Ming Ming in time. Killing Little 11 was basically the limit that the Xianxun ancestor could bear, but if even Kong Ming Ming was killed, then the Xianxun ancestor would probably go crazy. Linny did not want to affect the opening of Heavenly Island, so he temporarily let Kong Ming Ming stay. Thus, Lin Yi was relieved. In the next time, it was the Dragon of 5 Evils chasing Kong Ming Ming and Zhong Pingliang. Sometimes it chased Kong Ming Ming, and sometimes it chased Zhong Pingliang. Often when they were about to be caught, it would change targets, let them rest, and continue to chase after them. Gradually, Kong Ming Ming and Pin Liang understood as well. The dragon was toying with them. However, was the wisdom of the 5 demons dragon really that high? Hey, Dragon of 5 Evils, can you stop for a moment? I really can't take it anymore. For the past 2 days, Kong Ming Ming had been tormented miserably. Instead of attacking others, the dragons of 5 evils chased after him. Of course, whenever he was exhausted, the dragon of 5 wrath's target would become Pin Liang, and when Pin Liang couldn't take it anymore, it would switch to Kong Ming Ming. The cycle would repeat itself over and over again, leaving him helpless. The other trial takers also saw this clearly, so they were naturally happy to be at ease. They all ran to the side and hid, not participating in the fight with them. They just stood at the side as if it had nothing to do with them. Anyway, the dragon of 5 evils was just toying with them. No one would die, so why did they have to stand up for them? Moreover, even if he forcefully stood up for them, that required strength as well, and they didn't have the strength to do so. The dragon of 5 evils had thick skin and flesh, and was just one step away from understanding the heavenly Tao. It was about to become a spirit. This kind of spirit beast wasn't something that human cultivators like them could fight against. Moreover, didn't they see it earlier? Lin Yi was such a powerful existence. But in the end, Lin Yi used the strength of a great perfection late phase heaven class, and all he did was leave a small wound on the dragon of 5 evils. Even if they attacked together, they would probably be exhausted to the point where they wouldn't be able to cause any substantial damage to the dragon of 5 evils. Kong Ming Ming had been running for a day and a night, and just as he recovered some strength, he was chased by the dragon of 5 evils again. He was about to go crazy as he cursed. Dragon of 5 evils, fuck you. Roar. The dragon of 5 evils understood and quickened its pace. It used its claws to catch Kong Ming Ming, and then said to him, "I'll turn you into a mud horse first." With that said, the dragon of 5 evils swung its front claws, and with a whoosh, Kong Ming Ming was smashed into the ground, just like Little 11. Kong Ming Ming thought that after the dragon of 5 evils threw him over, he could just play dead for a while, but he didn't expect to hear rumbling footsteps coming from behind him as soon as he entered the ground. This sound was so shocking. It was obviously the footsteps of the dragon of 5 evils, Kong Ming Ming turned pale with fright. He wasn't Little 11. He could use his strength and chi, and the ground was quite soft. He used a bit of strength to jump out of the ground, and when he raised his head, he saw the dragon of 5 evils right in front of him, ready to slap him with its claws. Kong Ming Ming jumped in fright and hurriedly sped up, dodging the attack. But the dragon of 5 evils didn't seem to have any intention of letting him go and continued to chase after him at full speed. Kong Ming Ming didn't have a choice, and he smiled bitterly in his heart. This dragon of 5 evils was not only intelligent, but it could also understand and speak human language. This meant that the dragon of 5 evils had heard Kong Ming Ming and Zhong Pingliang's plan. No wonder the dragon of 5 evils didn't target anyone else, but only the two of them. Finally, Kong Ming Ming couldn't take it anymore, and he knelt on the ground, panting like a dying dog. The dragon of 5 evils stopped in front of him, looked at him, and didn't attack him. Instead, it ran towards Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang was sitting on the ground with Zhang Naipeo, recovering his chi. He was the same as Kong Ming Ming, relying on high-level pills like the chi recovery pill to recover chi. In the 5 evils wild, this kind of chi couldn't be used for training. Naipeo, on the other hand, was absorbing the 5 malice chi to train, but while he could absorb it, his training speed was simply too slow. He hadn't even stepped in a golden class yet. He even wanted to find a few people to use the wasp absorption art to absorb Jin Chi, but the wasp absorption art could only be used at the profound phase, and it also had side effects. He couldn't keep absorbing Jin Chi, and he had to have enough time to absorb it every time. Only at Sky Class would he be able to absorb other people's chi as he pleased. This was much weaker than the Naming Divine Art. Of course, from a Sky Class perspective, the two were about the same in terms of strength and effect. And so, even if Zhang Naipeo wanted to find someone to absorb chi from, he'd have to wait until he was at Mystic Class. He couldn't even step in a Golden Class right now, and the Sky Class Island plan was right in front of him. At this rate, Zhang Naipeo wouldn't be able to make it in time. This made him depressed. One had to know that he'd put in a lot of effort to reach Mystic back when he was at Golden Class. He didn't have Lin Yi's Jade Space, and he didn't have the art of Dragon Mastery. Once he lost his strength, he'd lose all his advantages, and he'd basically be a cripple. Chapter 35:18. Even if he was Pinliang's follower, the everyday sect couldn't focus all their resources on him now that he was no longer an important figure in the Sky Class Island project. Pinliang stood up and continued sprinting, the dragon of 5 fiends chasing after him. But after a while, Pinliang decided to pull a trick. It was too tiring to keep running like this, and so he pretended to fall to the ground from exhaustion. After he fell, he waited for the Dragon of Fiends to turn around and attack Kong Ming Ming. Kong Ming Ming paused when he saw Pinliang fall. How did he manage to hold on for so long? But then he realized that Pinliang was playing a trick. He was trying to slack off. Kong Ming Ming was pissed off. Was the Dragon of Fiends going to attack him again? Why hadn't he thought of this before? But just as Kong Ming Ming was getting angry, he saw that the Dragon of Fiends didn't turn around to attack him. Instead, it reached out with its claws and grabbed Pinliang, roaring, "Don't play dead." If Kong Ming Ming could see the problem, how could the Dragon of Fiends not? The Dragon of 5 Fiends swung its claws, and with a swoosh, Pinliang's upper body was buried in the mud. Pinliang wanted to cry. He was trying to slack off, but he got attacked instead. Startled, he quickly crawled out of the mud and continued to run. He did not want to be hit like that again. Pinliang wanted to curse at the dragon, but he held it in. Cursing the dragon was fun, but his whole family was going to be cremated. Look at Kong Ming Ming, wasn't that the case? His wife was dead, and he almost died as well. This wasn't something he could just curse at. He had no choice but to run for his life. He knew that the Dragon of Fiends was messing with him, but he had to run. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The 5 Evils dragon had lost interest in playing. The inheritors had been in its cave for a long time. If they stayed any longer, they wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. The 5 Wrath dragons saw the inheritors coming out of the cave and gave up on chasing Kong Ming Ming and Pinliang. It hurriedly returned to its cave, disappearing without a second glance as it passed by the inheritors. This caused everyone present to be extremely puzzled. This dragon of 5 evils was truly strange. He actually turned a blind eye to the inheritors' actions of occupying his nest. Kong Ming Ming and Pinliang fell to the ground, panting heavily. It was too tiring. They had been running nonstop for 3 days. It was as if the two of them were fighting against the dragon of 5 evils. But who could they blame? They wanted to harm Lin Yi, and their little tricks incurred the wrath of the dragon of 5 evils. But now it was finally over. Kong Xiaoming looked at the inheritors and stood up. "Young Master Tian, I've been waiting for a long time. How are the inheritors on your side? Did they all use the inheritance and successfully break through to perfect perfection?" Snow Valley's elder Tang Yun didn't break through to perfect perfection, but the others are fine. Tian Chan felt slightly regretful. Among the inheritors, only Tang Yun failed to break through to perfect perfection. She probably wouldn't be able to try in a short period of time. If she forced herself to try, she might go berserk and cause more damage to her body. So, she had to leave this place first. Tang Yin failed. Kong Ming Ming laughed coldly in his heart. Lin, he might be strong, but his girlfriends were also trash. He looked at Tian Chan and felt slightly regretful. If he had known that the young master of Sky's Silkworm sect was a girl, then he wouldn't have pursued Little Peach at all. Why would he pursue Little 11? As long as he wouldn't lick Tian Chan's boots, maybe Tian Chan would really like him. At that time, he would become the son-in-law of the Sky Elixir sect, and he would still be successful. Although it was not bad now, and he could get the Xianshan ancestors' care, Little 11 was far worse than Tian Chan. Sigh. The past was unbearable. Kong Ming Ming didn't want to stay here any longer. He was afraid that the Dragon of 5 Evils would return to the cave and come out again. As for whether Tang Yun broke through or not, in Kong Ming Ming's eyes, it didn't matter much anymore. Zhang Naipeo was crippled, and one less inheritor wasn't a big deal. These headaches would be solved by the Xiantian ancestor when he got back. He couldn't solve it. Temporarily failed. I'll think of something when I get back. How's her side? Tian Chan asked faintly. Lin Yi looked at the familiar yellow-clothed girl in front of him. It was hard to connect her with the beautiful girl he met in the Five Evils Mountains. At that time, Tian Chan was a cute little girl, but now Tian Chan was the cold and arrogant young master of the Sky Elixir sect. But Tang Yun failed to break through to perfection. This surprised Lin Yi, but he could think of something when he got back. On my side, all the participants broke through to perfection under the pressure of the Five Evils Qi, but Zhang Naipeo was crippled. Kong Ming was a little depressed. Let's go back and see how he can recover. Tian Chan paused as well. She knew how important Zhang Naipeo was, but she didn't expect him to be crippled as well. This wasn't going to be good, but the most important thing now was to leave this place. And so, Tian Chan said, activate the portal. You take the participants out first, I'll bring up the rear and escort the heir. All right. Kong Ming couldn't wait to leave this place. He was overjoyed to go first. Following the method the Xiantian elder taught him, Kong Ming activated the portal in the Five Evils Mountains. Then he took the lead and rushed into the portal, ignoring everyone else. Behind him, Pin Liang and Naipeo followed closely, and the rest of the heirs left one by one. Lin Yi let Han Jingjing and Xinyan leave first. He was going to wait for Tian Chan and the heirs to leave before he left. These heirs were his closest people, including Tian Chan. She had a complicated relationship with Lin Yi, and so Lin Yi wanted to escort them out. Meng Yao, Xiao Xiao, Yu Shu, Yu Ning, Guan Xian, and Little Nine all looked at Lin Yi as they left. Only Tang Yun had her head lowered, as if she had a lot on her mind. After these people left with the others from the sect, only Lin Yi and Tian Chan were left. Chapter 35:19. Damn, if you wanted to kill me, you didn't have to help me a few times before. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Right, what's going on with Tang Yun? Tang Yun? Your girlfriend? Tian Chan asked. Aren't you my girlfriend? Lin Yi smiled. Kick you. Tian Chan glared at Lin. Do you think I don't know that those inheritors are all your girlfriends? I didn't say it wasn't. Lin Yi said. I mean, aren't you the same? Don't talk nonsense. Tian Chan snorted. Here, I'm Tian Chan. Why go back? I'm Sky's silkworm transformation. We can't. Tian Chan suddenly sighed. Actually, there are some things that are meaningless if they're said out loud. It's fine as long as everyone knows it in their hearts. You're not going to Heaven Island? Lin Yi suddenly asked. Tian Chan was slightly taken aback. Maybe, but so what if I go? It's not like I won't come back. Lin Yi wanted to say that he should go to Heaven Island to be gay, but he didn't say it after thinking about it. Tian Chan obviously had a lot of concerns. She had her identity in life. Even if she went to Heaven Island, it was not like she wouldn't come back. However, how many of those who went to the Heavenly Island came back? It seemed that those who went to Heaven Island were never heard from again, right? However, Lin Yi didn't say anything. Everything could only be left to fate. The two of them left the teleportation portal one after another, but it didn't attract much attention because Patriarch Xianxian was dumbfounded at this moment. He listened to Kong Ming's narration and almost fainted. Father-in-law, Master, you must hold on. Kong Ming was about to faint when he saw Patriarch Xianxian. He was shocked. Patriarch Xianxian had been guarding near the teleportation portal, so he naturally didn't know that little 11th soul jade tablet had shattered. Why yeah. Lin Yi, he and I are irreconcilable. Patriarch Xianxian roared in grief and indignation. Almost all of his disciples had died in the hands of Lin Yi. This hatred was absolutely irreconcilable. Fortunately, Kong Ming was not dead. He had really gone mad. Fortunately, you're fine. If something had happened to you, I would have really gone all out against Lin Yi. But now, those inheritors are all related to him. Even if I kill him, I can't shed all pretense of cordiality. Patriarch Xianxian was a formidable figure after all. He quickly regained his composure. As the head of the Five Elements sect, he still kept the tradition of the old days. His daughter was just a woman, and it didn't matter if she died. However, Kong Ming Ming was his last disciple, and he was so mean. This was very much to his liking. He had already prepared for Kong Ming Ming to inherit his mantle. He wanted Kong Ming Ming to inherit the position of the head of the Five Elements sect, or to carry forward the Five Elements sect after going to the Heaven Stage Island. The patriarchal thought and the idea of inheriting the mantle. This made Patriarch Xianxian value Kong Ming Ming, his only personal disciple, even more. Therefore, Kong Ming Ming was fine. The balance between him and Lin Yi would not be broken, and Lin Yi also saw this clearly, so he spared Kong Ming Ming's life. I understand. I can't do it now, but Master, don't worry. Even if I go to the Heaven Stage Island, I will find a way to kill him. Kong Ming Ming grinned hideously. Well, I know what you're capable of. Patriarch Xianxian nodded. You don't have to worry about anything when Little 11 goes. After going to the Heaven Stage Island, if possible, find a way to get close to a dock. It will be great if you can get married. As long as you can carry forward the Five Elements sect of my Xianxian branch, it doesn't matter what you do. Father-in-law, aren't you going to the Heaven Stage Island? Even if I go to the Heaven Stage Island, you are my backer. Kong Ming Ming said. The Heaven Stage Island. You and I may not be together. Moreover, why are we going to the Heaven Stage Island? Isn't it to pursue the way of heaven and cultivate to become a perfected immortal? Our strength is at the full circle of the Heaven Stage, and there is a big gap between us and the way of heaven. The people there may be stronger than us. Patriarch Xianxian seemed to know something. Father-in-law, you seem to know about the Heaven Stage Island all of a sudden? Kong Ming Ming raised his head and asked curiously. Before, the Xianxian ancestor didn't know much about the Heaven Stage Island, so he didn't say much to Kong Ming Ming. But for what he said today, it seemed like he knew something new. That's right, I know something, but it's not the right time to tell you yet. Patriarch Xianxian said. When a Heaven Stage conference is held, I will announce it to everyone. That's good. Kong Ming Ming nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Right? Those who went with you, did they all successfully advance to the full circle? Patriarch Xianxian asked. They all advanced. The pressure of the five evils chi, there is really nothing to hide. It's too powerful. Kong Ming Ming nodded. In fact, he admired Zhong Pingliang the most. He could actually advance and break through while resting. But thinking about it, it was normal. After his physical strength was exhausted, and then under the pressure of the five malice chi, it was hard not to break through. But Zhang Naipeo is crippled. Although he can cultivate back, I'm afraid it won't be possible for a while. Didn't you say that Wang Xinyan can be replaced? Let's talk to Lin Yi. It should be enough. Patriarch Xianxian said. This is also the reason why I don't want to fall out with Lin Yi. And Wang Xinyan can be replaced. Kong Ming Ming nodded. Right? Among the inheritors, Tang Yun failed to advance. She's not a full circle yet. Fail. Patriarch Xianxian frowned after hearing this. He was a little unhappy. Only Shuigu's arts are troublesome. The other sects are quite normal. Only they came up with this heartless arts. It's really fucked up. Yeah, why don't we give her a chi gathering pill and advance? Kong Ming Ming asked. Recently, he was addicted to making chi gathering pills. Practice makes perfect, so the success rate was very high. No, there's a problem with Shuigu's arts. The chi gathering pill can only be used until the peak of Heaven Stage late phase. It doesn't work anymore. You can only cultivate by yourself. Patriarch Xianxian shook his head. You don't have to worry about it. I'll force them to think of a way as soon as possible. Okay. Kong Ming Ming nodded. Right, in this trial, are there any other participants who have a good relationship with Lin Yi? Patriarch Xianxian asked. No, it's that Xiao Ran. He seems to be a little hot-blooded, but it has nothing to do with Lin Yi. Kong Ming Ming said. That's good. I'm afraid that Lin Yi will form a gang. At the Heaven Stage meeting, I will give him the most painful blow. As long as there aren't too many people supporting him. Patriarch Xianxian said with a cold smile. Chapter 35:20. Patriarch Black Earth coughed and strode over. As for Kong Xiaoming, he followed closely behind. I heard that the performance of the trial challengers was very good, and the performance of the inheritors was also very good. However, there was a trial challenger who took the initiative to provoke others and was crippled and criticized. There's also an inheritor who failed to ascend to the Great Perfection realm and was also criticized. The elder said, faintly, Zhang Naipeo, if you can't recover your qi and strength by the time of the Sky Class meeting, then the everyday sect will be disqualified from this trial, and Wang Xinyan will replace you. What? Pingyang was shocked. Elder Xianxian, what do you mean? Our everyday sect is also one of the initiators of the Sky Class Island plan. What are you trying to do by kicking us out? I didn't say I was kicking you out, but if you can't recover, then there's nothing I can do. If you recover, then everything will be fine, the elder said. Pingyang took a deep breath. He was very angry, but the elder's words were reasonable. Who told Zhang Naipeo to be crippled? Tang Yun. If you can't break through to Sky Class Perfection by the time of the Sky Class meeting, then Shuiyu's right to participate and enter Sky Class Island will be disqualified. The elder continued. Tang Yun's position will be replaced by Ice Palace's Bingtang. Both of them are water elements. Although they're not exactly the same, they can still be used. At least, perfection will be stronger than non-perfection. Shueli's expression did not look too good either. This time, she came with dreams and pursuits. If Shuiyu couldn't participate, then she could only return depressed. However, Tang Yun still had hope. After all, it wasn't the end of the trial before the Sky Class meeting. After saying that, the Black Earth Patriarch said slowly, apart from the people I mentioned, everyone has obtained the right to participate in the Heaven Grade meeting. But before that, everyone has obtained the right to participate. But before that, I will give everyone a holiday. If there's anything, go deal with it as soon as possible. Then, I will make an ancient announcement and summon everyone back for the Sky Class meeting. Zhang Naipeo, Tang Yun, this is your last chance. I hope you can grasp it. Don't let me down. All right, everyone can disperse. Kong Mingming walked over and said to everyone, however, those who are free can also stay in the 5 Elements Inn and wait for the news of the Heaven Rank meeting. The crowd dispersed. Lin Yi looked in the direction of the inheritor. He was a little worried about Tang Yun. Before, he couldn't remember Tang Yun, but now he remembered. Lin Yi wouldn't turn a blind eye to it. Tang Yun hadn't broken through to full mastery. Lin Yi had to think of a way for her. However, before Lin Yi could walk over, Sydney blocked Lin Yi's path. Young hero Lin, what are you doing? Please respect yourself and do what you promised me. Don't go back on your words. Tang Yun hasn't broken through to Sky Realm Great Circle yet. She can't acknowledge you yet. You misunderstood. Lin Yi shook his head and said, I don't want to acknowledge her or anything. I just want to see if there's anything I can help with. You know that I'm a Sky Realm Great Circle Master, and so are the people around me. In terms of breaking through to full mastery, I have some experience. So, we can discuss together and see if we can solve Tang Yun's problem. I see. Sydney hesitated after hearing Lin Yi's words. To be honest, she was a little tempted. After all, what Lin Yi said was the truth. He and the others were all Sky Realm Great Circle Masters, and they had a lot of experience in breaking through. And Lin Yi had come all the way from a lone practitioner to his current height. It was impossible to say that he didn't have some ability. So, Sydney hesitated and said, I'll go back and think about it. You won't leave the inn for the time being, right? I won't leave. Lin Yi nodded. After he went back, he planned to first forge a Sky Realm Divine weapon. Then he would go to the West Star Mountain Cave and open the stone door to see if there was anything good inside. However, the prerequisite was to forge a Sky Realm Divine weapon. And now that Lin Yi had the blood of the 5 Demons Dragon, everything was ready. He only needed to make a move. It didn't matter where he forged it. There was no one else in Lin Yi's house except for Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan. So, Lin Yi planned to stay in the inn for now. Okay, Sydney left and walked towards Tang Yin. Although Tang Yin really wanted to see Lin Yi, she resisted. When she was receiving the inheritance and resisting the pressure, Tang Yin tried very hard to forget about Lin Yi, but she still couldn't break through to the Sky Realm Great Circle. This made Tang Yin feel very regretful. To be honest, Tang Yin felt very guilty today. She was the hope of the Snow Valley, and Sydney's hope. If she couldn't successfully break through, then Sydney would have no chance with the Sky Realm Conference and the Sky Realm Island Plan. After Sydney left, the other inheritors also walked far away. Lenny wanted to talk to them, but this didn't seem to be the place. He should wait until they returned to the inn. Lin Yi, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing returned to the inn together. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. At first, Lenny thought it was Sydney. He didn't expect her to think it through so quickly. When he opened the door, it was Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Naipeo. This surprised Lin Yi. Why were the two of them here? What do you mean? Are you here for revenge? Lenny looked at the two coldly and asked, That, Master Lin, can you let us in? I have something to discuss with you. Zhong Pingliang sighed. Pingliang said after a sigh. To be honest, begging Lin Yi wasn't his style, but there was no other way. This was the only thing he could do. You guys? You have something to discuss with me? Lin Yi looked at Zhong Pingliang strangely. I say, Zhong Pingliang, are you okay? Do you think we're still in school? Do we have any friendship to speak of? No matter what, our relationship was harmonious for a while, and I really have something to discuss with you today. Zhong Pingliang sighed. Say it, what is it? Lin Yi nodded and let the two into the room. Master Lin, I heard that you're quite good at healing and leveling people up. Could you help Naipeo recover? Pingliang asked after some hesitation. That's right, Master Lin. I heard that you're quite good at healing and leveling people up. Chapter 35:21. Helping Zhang Naipeo heal? How could he even think of that? No, young hero Lin, listen to me. Pingliang said, according to my understanding, other than the power of the 5 elements and 7 elements, there's also the presence of the 5 malice chi. Zhang Naipeo's mission is to protect the inheritors and help them absorb the extra demonic chi. It's a very dangerous job, and there's a high chance of accidents. And now, the Xinshan Elder wants Xinyan to help absorb it and take over Naipeo's position. But do you really want someone with no experience to do this? I know what's going on with Xinyan. It's probably you who's helping her, right? Oh, Lin Yi was a little tempted by Pingliang's words. Pingliang was right. If it were Xinyan, Lin Yi wouldn't be at ease. Those inheritors had gone through the formal training of the sect. They had some experience, but Xinyan was different. She'd been forcefully strengthened by him and had no battle experience at all. It wouldn't be good if something happened to her, but it was impossible for Lin Yi to use the art of dragon mastery on Naipeo. 1. Lin Yi didn't dare focus all his attention on strengthening an enemy. And 2. Lin Yi didn't want him to know the secret of his practitioner's arts. And so, Lin Yi nodded slowly. What you say makes sense, but it doesn't make sense at all. What do I get out of it? This is a fair trade. If you don't agree, then there's nothing I can do. Pingliang said, this is our chance, and yours as well. All right, I admit that I've been convinced by your suggestion. Lin Yi didn't want Xinyan to take the risk, and so he turned around and reached into his luggage. 50 energy stones appeared in his hand, and Lin Yi put them on the coffee table in the room. Let Naipeo take these energy stones back to train. With the help of the energy stones, with his cultivation speed, it should be easy for him to reach the mystic rank. Once he reaches the mystic rank, he can use the Wasp Absorption Divine art to quickly absorb the energy from the energy stones. Even reaching the heaven rank Great Circle won't be a problem. Pingliang and Naipeo were dumbfounded by the amount of energy stones Lin Yi had pulled out. This Lin Yi always carried energy stones with him. Why did he bring so many? However, regardless of why Lin Yi had energy stones with him, the main problem had been solved. With these energy stones, it wouldn't be hard for Naipeo to break through to Sky Class full mastery again. Even if these energy stones weren't enough, Naipeo was at Sky Class. Then, he would be able to absorb other people's physical strength and true chi at will. When the time came, he would find a disciple of the everyday sect to absorb first. At that thought, Pin Liang and Nai Peo looked at each other, calming down. Well, I'll take it then. Pin Liang hesitated for a moment before taking the energy stone. Don't be an idiot playing with that idiot Kong Ming Ming. Didn't you see how little 11 died? Lin, he looked at Pin Yang. Don't cause any trouble before Sky Class Island opens, or don't blame me for not warning you. Don't worry, Master Lin, I know what to do. Pin Liang took a deep breath. I can't thank you enough. Bring the stones back when you're done, Lin, he reminded. Oh, okay. Pin Liang didn't know what Lin he was going to do with the stones, but he still nodded. Pin Liang and Nai Peo had achieved their goal, so naturally, they turned and left. Pin Liang and Nai Peo left after accomplishing their goal. They knew that Lin he didn't really like them, and so they didn't plan on staying. After Pin Liang left, Lin he frowned. Lin he frowned slightly. Helping Pin Liang wasn't just for Xin Yan's sake, but for the sake of the everyday sect. It was a good thing no matter what. The Xinshin ancestor was covering the sky with one hand, letting Pin Liang, who owed him a favor, participate. If Xinshin was up to no good when they got to Sky Class Island, Pin Liang could help at the critical moment. Not long after Pin Liang left, someone knocked on Lin Yi's door again. Lin Yi opened the door and saw that it was Sydney. It seemed like she didn't have a good way to help Tang Yin break through, so she came to find Lin Yi. Master Lin, I've thought about it, and what you said makes sense. So, I want to invite you to the meeting room to discuss Elder Tang Yin's problem. The inheritors and young Master Tian Chan will also go with you. Let's brainstorm and think of a way to help Elder Tang Yin. Sydney said, Okay, when? Lin Yi asked. Now, Sydney said, Okay, I'll go with you. Lin Yi nodded and left the room with Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing, following Sydney to the inn's meeting room. The meeting room was rented by Sydney from the inn. She said that it was to discuss Tang Yun's problem, so the inn naturally agreed. When Lin Yi and Sydney arrived at the meeting room, they found that the other inheritors and Tian Chan were already there. Tang Yun was also among them, and Lin Yi was the last to arrive. Obviously, Sydney called everyone but not Lin Yi. She was afraid that they couldn't come up with a solution, so she called Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi didn't point it out. After all, Lin Yi understood Sydney's worries. Tang Yun was the hope of Snow Valley, and she was also afraid that Lin Yi and Tang Yun would rekindle their old feelings. Yao Yao, Shu, Xiaoning, Xiao Xiao, Xin Xin, Xiaojiu. Yin Yun and Tian Chan, long time no see. Lin Yi took a deep breath and sat on the main seat in the meeting room. Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing also greeted everyone with a smile and found a place to sit. Hey, that's my seat. Sydney pointed at the main seat in the meeting room and said to Lin Yi. She was the initiator of the meeting, so naturally she sat on the main seat, but now it was occupied by Lin Yi, and Lin Yi ignored her. It was impossible that Lin Yi didn't have any opinions about Sydney, so he had to ignore her. Everyone's worried about Yun Yun, but Yun Yun hasn't broken through under the pressure of the 5 Demons Dragon's Cave. I think she'll either use the Chi amassing pill to break through to the Great Perfection Realm, or she'll break through in battle. If both don't work, I'm afraid we'll have to find a reason from her own mental cultivation method. Could it be that she can't cultivate the heartless formula to the Great Perfection Realm? Do you want to practice an invitation art? Lin Yi asked. Chapter 35-22. Merciless arts can't be broken through with pills? Lin Yi paused. He didn't think that the arts had this restriction, but every sect's arts were different, and his art of dragon mastery had other uses. So Lin Yi wasn't too surprised. He just nodded and said, then the only way is to break through in battle or to find the problem with the chant. Since your heartless arts can't break through with the pill, it might not be able to break through with normal practice either. In the end, it might be because of your chant. Your arts are the ones that have problems. Sydney raged. Please don't insult the merciless arts that our master Xue created. Lin, he was speechless. Your master Shui had eloped with Zhang Liju. What was this about the merciless arts? It was more like asking for the arts. But Lin, he didn't say it out loud. Cindy would probably go crazy if he did. Then try to break through in battle. Union doesn't have much battle experience, and it's just against the pressure. There's a chance of failure. But where's the chance to fight? Sydney said, why don't you fight with her? Lin, he smiled bitterly. Unless it was a life and death battle, there was only a chance of breaking through in battle. Normal sparring was hard to break through. As they were talking, Xiao Xiao's phone rang. Bing Tang had allowed her to use her satellite phone. They were both Lin Yi's wives, so Bing Tang wouldn't make things difficult for her. Dad? It was Xiao Xiao's father, Tian Long. I'm in a meeting. I'll call you later, okay? Xiao Xiao thought it was her father asking when she was going back. Before the test, Xiao Xiao had promised her father that she would go home after the test to see her mother. She wanted to see if she could use the body of inheritance to absorb the cold energy in her mother's body and drive it away. But she wasn't done yet, so she had to ask her father to wait. Xiao Xiao, Dad's in trouble. Did you get together with Lin Yi after what happened to Dad? I can't get through to him. Can you give him the phone? Tianlong's voice sounded very weak. Xiao Xiao was shocked. Dad, what's wrong? What happened? Dad and your sister Song were heavily injured. Hurry and give the phone to Lin Yi. Feng Tianlong said anxiously. All right. Xiao Xiao quickly stood up and passed the phone to Lin. Linny, honey, my dad's in trouble. Take the call. Oh? Did something happen to Uncle Feng? Lin, he was also shocked. He quickly took the phone and said, Uncle Feng, what happened to you? Linny, I can't get through to you? Lingshan and I were heavily injured, Feng Tianlong said. Phone? My phone is not a satellite phone. There is no signal here. Lin, he said, seriously injured? So who did it? Lin, he was shocked. There were still people who dared to seriously injure someone from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Who did it? Who dared to do it? Did they not know about the news? Didn't they know about his relationship with the Bureau? Moreover, Tianlong and Lingshan were the closest people to Lin Yi. How could they seriously injure them? This was obviously not giving face to Lin Yi. Iron Cloak Sect, Tianlong said. The Supernatural Investigation Bureau was tracking a martial artist who did evil in the mortal world. However, this martial artist seemed to be an outer disciple of the Iron Cloak Sect. He actually ran to the Iron Cloak Sect. Lingshan and I naturally brought people to the Iron Cloak Sect to get him. Initially, he had wanted to negotiate with them and have them release the captives. But who knew that the Iron Cloak Sect would be so unreasonable? A few people came out and surrounded us. Oh, Iron Cloak Sect? Lin Yi frowned. The Iron Cloak Sect rarely participated in activities. Firstly, physical masters rarely pursued the heavenly Tao. Only one person from the Holy Fist Palace came, probably with the attitude of giving it a try. The other physical masters didn't come. Perhaps physical practitioners and Qi practitioners were different, but the Iron Cloak Sect, Golden Bell Sect, and Eastern Xizhun family should have some relationship. Lin Yi didn't expect the Iron Cloak Sect to be so daring. They actually dared to attack people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Did you say that Feng Xiao Xiao is your daughter? I did, and Lingshan also said that you were her boyfriend, but the Iron Cloak Sect said that they never heard of Feng Xiao Xiao, but they heard of your name. They said that you are their enemy in name, so they wanted to teach us a lesson. Feng Tianlong said helplessly, so 2 Sky-class masters came out and seriously injured Lingshan and I. Not only that, they also warned us that we dared to come to the Iron Cloak Sect to get her back. They told us to go home and prepare for our funeral. They will come to us 3 days later and kill our whole family. Kill our whole family? After listening to Feng Tianlong's words, Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Was the Iron Cloak Sect arrogant to a certain extent? Even if they didn't know the news, they couldn't be so arrogant, could they? That's right, Lingshan and I are now crippled, but I'm not worried that you can heal yourself. I'm alone, I'm fine, but I'm afraid that it will affect the secular Song family. Feng Tianlong said. Uncle Feng, wait for us, we will go immediately. We were just worried about not having a chance to fight, and now the chance is here. Since they wanted to kill Lin Yi naturally didn't mind killing them first. Whether it was Ling Shan's whole family or Feng Tianlong's, it all included Lin Yi. How could Lin Yi just sit back and do nothing? All right, don't be rash. I'll wait for you. We'll talk when you come back, Feng Tianlong said. After hanging up, Lin Yi handed the phone back to Xiao Xiao. He didn't hide anything, since other than Sydney, everyone here was Lin Yi's closest people. And so, Lin Yi told them about what happened to Tianlong and Ling Shan. Oh, annihilation. Shu loves it. Yushu agreed as soon as Lin Yi finished. Tang Yun sis, let's go fight the Iron Cloak sect. I haven't annihilated anyone yet. Tang Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was annihilating an entire family something fun in Yushu's eyes? Yes, Lin Yi honey, since that Iron Cloak sect wants to annihilate us, then we'll go and annihilate them. The troublemaker duo has reunited. I'm so excited. Xiao Xiao knew that Lin Yi could heal her father and Ling Shan, so she wasn't worried about their safety. She was more excited about annihilating a whole family. Chapter 35-23. He thought that he could smoothly prepare to go to Heavenly Island in this period of time, but he didn't expect to encounter such a thing before he left. Let's go take a look first. Lin Yi thought for a moment. He was on Heavenly Island, and it might be a few months, a year or two at most. He didn't know how long it would take, but during this time, there were still a lot of his friends and family left in the common world. At that time, if anyone came looking for trouble, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to help. So, it was important to establish his authority before he left. Otherwise, if another ancient sect that he didn't have much contact with before came, or if another ancient sect that didn't know him came looking for trouble, it would be hard to say what would happen. We'll leave tomorrow morning. This is a good chance for Yun Yun to fight, Lin Yi said after some thought. Okay, I'll go too, Sydney said after some thought. Up to you, but you have to be a fighter. Otherwise, don't go, Lin Yi smiled. All right. Shueli hesitated for a moment before agreeing. People from ancient sects didn't care much about human lives. As long as there was a grudge, they could go to the front door. So, Sydney went with them. She thought about it. Didn't Xiao Xiao's whole family include Tang Yun? If it was related to Lin Yi, then it would be related to Tang Yun. Then, it would be Shuegu's business. Then, Sydney would be defending herself. I'll go with you guys, Tian Chan said, after some thought. You? You're going too? Lin Yi paused. It was reasonable for other people to go because they were Xiao Xiao's sisters. It was normal for them to go looking for trouble with the Iron Cloak sect, but under what name would Tian Chan go? If she went with the identity of the young master of the Sky Elixir sect, it would be too big of a deal. After the Iron Cloak sect was destroyed, it would be a bad name for the Sky Elixir sect. Yes, my mission is to protect these inheritors. If I don't go, Patriarch Xinshin will say that I'm not doing my job well. Tian Chan said matter-of-factly. Lin Yi, do you have time? Come to my room later. I have something to discuss with you. Oh, okay. Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Tian Chan would take the initiative to invite him. However, Lin Yi knew that Tian Chan didn't just have something to discuss with him. Lin Yi didn't think that he had anything to discuss with Tian Chan. They decided on the itinerary for tomorrow. Everyone went back to rest as well, since Shueli and Tian Chan were there. Meng Yao only looked at Lin Yi, pursed her lips, and left without saying anything. Guan Exen, Little Gio, and Yu Ning did the same. Shu took Xiao Xiao's hand and left with the Mississippi Tang Yun was the last to leave. She left with Sydney. Looking at Lin Yi, she wanted to say something, but stopped. She knew that Lin Yi must have remembered what happened before, but because Sydney was there, she couldn't say anything to Lin Yi. Finally, when everyone left, only Tian Chan, Wang Xinyan, and Han Jingjing were left in the meeting room. Lin Yi said to Wang Xinyan and Han Jingjing, "You two go back first. I'll go to Tian Chan's place. I'll go back in a while. And I'll go find Yao Yao." Wang Xinyan said, "I haven't seen her for a long time. I'll go with her." Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Wang Xinyan, Han Jingjing, and Ming Yao were very familiar with each other. In the last few days, they were together almost every day. After they left, only Lin Yi and Tian Chan were left in the meeting room. "Why are you looking for me?" Lin Yi smiled at Tian Chan. "I want to kick you, can't I?" Tian Chan rolled her eyes at Lin Yi. "Let me kick you." "Where?" Lin Yi asked. "What do you think?" Tian Chan smiled faintly. "I'll let you die without descendants." "Who asked you to be so popular with women?" "Sweat." Lin Yi was speechless. "I can heal myself. I can't be bothered with you." Tian Chan walked out of the meeting room and said to Lin Yi, "Follow me." Lin Yi quickly followed and came to Tian Chan's room in the inn. It was a very luxurious suite, much better than Lin Yi's suite. It seemed that Tian Chan's treatment was really different. "Your room is really good. You want to move here?" Tian Chan asked. "Sleep with you?" Lin Yi asked. "It's not like we haven't slept together before," Tian Chan said. "How would I not know what you're thinking? You're so dirty." "How is it dirty?" "It's your thoughts that are dirty, isn't it?" Lin Yi was speechless after being mocked by Tian Chan a few times. "I heard that you can make a lot of chi-gathering pills?" Tian Chan asked. "Yes," Lin Yi nodded. "Then, I'll make some for my brother. When he reaches Heaven Class full circle, I can go to Heaven Class Island in peace. Even if I don't come back, it's fine," Tian Chan said. "Huh? What do you mean?" Lin Yi was slightly surprised. Although Tian Chan didn't make a clear statement, her attitude said something. "We'll talk about it when the time comes." Tian Chan shook her head. "I haven't thought about it yet. You know that I used to be a sky silkworm transformation. I'm very strong. I'm afraid that I won't be able to control myself and kill them." Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "We're both Heaven Class full circle. It's not that easy to kill them. Do you think you're me? Maybe I'll reach Heaven's path first?" Tian Chan said. "All right." Lin Yi shrugged. "Let's not talk about that for now. You came looking for me just for this?" "Yes," Tian Chan nodded. "Then I'll go back first." Lin Yi was in a hurry to go back and make Heaven Class weapons. He had all the materials, so he could start working. Also, Tian Chan stopped Lin Yi. "What?" Lin Yi looked at Tian Chan. "Hug me." "I haven't hugged for a long time," Tian Chan said suddenly. Okay. Since Tian Chan said so, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't be polite. Perhaps Tian Chan had gone to the Five Fiends mountain range again and was touched by the scenery. That was why she had so many thoughts and made such a decision. Lin Yi hugged Tian Chan lightly. He didn't take advantage of her, just like he did in Wushang Mountain. In fact, the current situation was already taking advantage of Tian Chan. After a while, Tian Chan pushed Lin Yi away. "Okay, you can go back. I'm fine. Let me be alone." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded. "Don't tell others about our relationship. Do you understand?" Tian Chan glared at Lin Yi. "Otherwise, I'll kick you." Chapter 35-24. Lin Yi bid farewell to Tian Chan and returned to his room. On his way back, he ran into Kong Mingming. However, Kong Mingming took one look at Lin Yi and knew that he was no match for Lin Yi. He lowered his head and walked away without saying anything. Lin Yi didn't bother with him and quickly returned to his room, starting his research on the forging of the divine weapon. Back in his room, Lin Yi entered the inner room and took out the forging technique of heaven-level divine weapons that he had copied from the space in the Jade Pendant and began to study it. According to the book, to forge a heaven-level divine weapon exclusive to the art of dragon mastery, the following materials were needed: fine steel, dark iron, colored steel, black charcoal stone, pure topaz, blue crystal powder, and blood of the Pentadragon. Although there were many materials, much more than the Jade Pendant and the Essence Chi necklace. However, apart from the blood of the Pentadragon, Lin Yi had already collected the rest of the materials a while ago. During the last few days of refining the chi-gathering pill, Lin Yi also plundered some of the materials from the ancient sects and hidden families. Now, he had more than enough materials for each type of material. Therefore, it was more than enough for Lin Yi to start forging weapons now. However, what made Lin Yi depressed was that he had obtained the blood of the Pentadragon too late. If he had forged a divine weapon earlier, Lin, he would have been able to use it when he was in the heaven rank. Right now, he was about to advance to the heavenly Tao realm. Above the heavenly Tao realm, would he still be able to use heaven-ranked divine weapons? Would they be able to unleash such great might after using them? These were all unknown. However, in order to open the stone door of the Xinyuan cave mansion, Lin, he had a forge. This was also a test for him. Now that he had all the materials, Lin, he continued to read the later parts of the art of dragon mastery. It turned out that the divine weapon needed to be paired with the art of dragon mastery was a staff. It needed a cylindrical steel and dark steel as a carrier, just like how the essence chi necklace needed a jade pendant as a carrier. Fine steel or dark steel. Lin couldn't help but think of the fine steel dark steel rod. And this was a gift from Zhong Pingliang. This guy always gave him good stuff. Thinking about it, it was good to keep someone like him around. Maybe he'd be useful in the future. Now that he had the materials, Lin began to figure out the refining method, the smithing fire. After the previous 2 experiments, Lin could already master it very well, so there was no problem. Next, it was time for actual combat. After Lin carefully looked at the forging steps of the Heaven Rank God weapon a few times, he carefully placed a certain proportion of dark mysterious iron, colored steel, charcoal stone, pure topaz, blue crystal powder, and blood of the 5 evils dragon around the dark iron rod. After that, he officially started to forge his Heaven Rank God weapon. The first step was to condense the smithing fire. The subsequent steps were actually very similar to condensing the space in the jade pendant and the essence chi necklace. With the previous 2 experiences, the condensation process was very smooth. Lin Yi's hands kept condensing the smithing fire, and from time to time, he also needed to use his hands to change the shape of the supporting materials. Then, he fused it with the dark iron rod on the ground. One after another, the whole process was very smooth. After a period of time, he finally reached the most important step of forging this weapon. This step was the most crucial step. It was also the step where Lin had the least materials. Lin basically had the backup of the materials he condensed before, but the last step, that was to inject the blood of the 5 evils dragon. This step was also completely different from the previous 2 steps, because the blood of the 5 evils dragon was the most important material used to change the attribute of a Heaven Rank God weapon. Everyone knew that a Heaven Rank God weapon had an attribute, and only the practitioner of the corresponding attribute could use it to its greatest effect. Back in the market, the wandering practitioner collected materials from the corresponding attribute of a Heaven Rank spirit beast to change the attribute of the Heaven Rank God weapon. Lin was a practitioner of the 5 elements and 7 attributes, and among the spirit beasts, only the 5 evils dragon belonged to the 5 elements. Lin Yi's Heaven Rank God weapon should be corresponding to the 5 elements. So the last step was to use the blood of the 5 evils dragon to determine the attribute of the Heaven Rank God weapon. At this step, Lin was pleasantly surprised. He had only used less than 5 hours. He heard Xinyan and Han Jingjing enter the door, but they saw that Lin was busy with something, so they didn't disturb him and went to rest. Lin took a deep breath. The next step was to infuse the 5 evils dragon's blood into the rod, and this step was the most difficult. It wasn't as simple as sprinkling the blood on the rod, but he had to let the blood seep evenly into the rod. If there was a slight deviation, it could cause a flaw in the weapon, and if he infused it with pure chi, it could cause the weapon to explode or break. Of course, Lin wasn't in a rush. He followed the steps step by step, careful with every step. It was a good thing that the heavens didn't disappoint those who tried. Finally, the next morning, Lin completed the last and most difficult step. Lin looked at the rod in front of him. It had obviously become darker, and he felt a little strange. This thing was black like a fire stick. It didn't look like anything good, but it was low-key and luxurious. Of course, Lin looked at the rod in his hand. It didn't look too different from before. Other than being a little darker, it didn't look any different. But Lin didn't care. It was a weapon for battle, and it wasn't for showing off. What did it matter if it looked good or not? After resting for a while, Lin Yi began to infuse pure qi into the rod. The rod let out a buzzing sound, and on the surface of the rod, a layer of dazzling pure qi suddenly flashed. At this moment, the black and swarthy iron rod suddenly became high-end and classy. However, Lin Yi only infused pure qi to test it. Lin Yi didn't dare to use it in the inn. Although the inn looked solid, how could it withstand a full blow from a consummate expert with a weapon? It would be smashed into ruins. Chapter 35:25. Lin Yi was the true heir of the Five Elements sect. After doing all this, Lin Yi put away his staff and left the room. Xin Yan and Han Jingjing were already awake and washing up, evidently looking forward to the upcoming battle. Lin Yi washed up and brought Xin Yan and Han Jingjing downstairs to the inn. Tian Chan was already waiting at the door with Meng Yao, Yu Shu, Little Nine, Yu Ning, Guan Xian, Xiao Xiao, Tang Yun, and Sydney. Practitioners usually woke up early, and Lin Yi would have come down earlier if he hadn't been busy forging his Sky-class weapon. But what surprised Lin Yi was that not long after he came down, Pin Liang and Nai Peo came down as well, evidently preparing to leave. "Thank you, young hero Lin." Pin Yang cupped his fist at Lin Yi and got into the car. Kong Ming Ming's heart skipped a beat when he saw Pin Liang's action. He was also not far away, and he quickly ran towards Pin Liang's car. But Pin Liang's car had already started, and with a bang, it knocked into Kong Ming Ming, making him sit on the ground, looking very disheveled. If this was any other time, Kong Ming Ming would have been furious, but now he had to confirm the relationship between Lin Yi and Pin Liang. Why did Pin Liang suddenly become so close to Lin Yi, even greeting him before leaving? Wasn't this something only done to friends who respected each other a lot? "Kong Ming Ming, what's wrong with you? Do you want to die?" Pin Liang cursed as he stopped the car and rolled down the window. "Huh, Liang bro, wait for me. I have something to talk to you about." Kong Ming Ming opened the back door and sat in the car. He was also a Heaven Stage Great Perfection expert. Although he was an alchemist, he would naturally be fine if he was hit by a car. "What do you want?" Pin Liang said impatiently. "Huh, isn't Canon crippled now? I can help." At that time, Patriarch Xianshun, my master, was there, so I couldn't say much. But it was my idea to deal with Han Jingjing and Wang Xinyan, and it's my fault that Canon got sucked out by Wang Xinyan. I want to do what I can. Kong Ming Ming said. "Oh." Pin Yang froze. What did that mean? Why did he suddenly say this to me? But Nai Peo was pretty much healed already, and he was planning on finding a disciple to absorb some strength from the everyday sect. But first, Kong Ming Ming could do whatever he wanted. "How are you going to help me?" "I can refine qi gathering pills. Don't forget that I'm an alchemist." Kong Ming Ming said. "Oh, all right. If you can refine qi gathering pills, then I'll accept your offer." Pin Liang's eyes lit up. If he had the pill, then Nai Peo wouldn't need to absorb other people's strength. Qi gathering pills might be a bottleneck for other practitioners, but for Nai Peo, it was a bottleneck. That bottleneck would be gone. His wasp absorption arts was at an advanced mastery level, and he could absorb anything. Naturally, there was no longer a limit to breaking through. Before the Sky class meeting, Kong Ming Ming had already started to make connections in secret. What if Lenny obstructs the opening of the Sky class island? If he wants to obstruct the opening of the Sky class island, what will you do? Kong Ming Ming continued to ask step by step. "Then I'll stand on your side," Pin Liang said after some thought. Chapter 35:26. All right. Pin Liang nodded. Lin Yi was his enemy in the first place, and he was the one who hindered the development of Sky Class Island. Lin Yi didn't feel any pressure killing him. "All right, I'll leave first. See you then." After Kong Ming Ming dealt with Zhong Ping Liang, he still had to deal with the others. Other than the inheritors, there were many masters who had advanced to perfection in this trial. These were the people Kong Ming Ming needed to win over. Seeing Kong Ming Ming get out of Zhong Pingliang's car, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with indifference. It was unrealistic to expect Zhong Pingliang to change his side just by giving him some energy stones. After all, the two were in a state of complete hostility. Lin Yi wasn't so naive to think that Zhong Pingliang would extend this favor infinitely. They'd agreed on a deal back then, and it was a deal. If Lin Yi could help Naipeo recover, naturally, he could kill him after opening the island. It was all up to them now. Xiaoran also left. He obviously had some things to do. Before leaving, Xiao Ran cupped his fist at Lin Yi and said, "Young hero Lin, thank you for your help before. I have to go back too. Take care." "All right." Lin Yi nodded and said, "You are alone. Take care of yourself. Don't let Zhong Pingliang and Kong Ming Ming find trouble with you." "I won't. My hometown is Songning City. It's not in the same direction as them." Xiao Ran shook his head. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything else as he watched Xiao Ran leave. Song Ling Rui and Thor Ryu didn't say anything to Lin Yi when they left. Instead, they were separately pestered by Kong Ming Ming and didn't know what to say. Lin Yi didn't dare to use Heaven Realm Perfection's divine sense to investigate because everyone was a master of the same level. If he really did that, others would definitely notice. However, it was definitely not something good. It was just that Lin Yi didn't really care. Kong Ming Ming would feel uncomfortable if he didn't do anything for a day. From the beginning to the end, he was a restless person. Although he created trouble for himself, he returned in failure every time. No one knew where he got his courage and endurance from. If it was someone else, they would have collapsed long ago. All the familiar people left one after another, including those from the inheritors sections. They all went back to deal with the affairs of their sections. It was worth mentioning that Rock Candy and Sydney planned to go to Ironcloth Sect together with Lin Yi. There was no need to mention the Rock Candy. Now that she was Lin Yi's little mistress, she naturally had to follow him. As Shueli had promised before, she was going to tag along. After the preparations were done, Lin Yi and the other inheritors set off. A group of more than a dozen Heaven Stage Great Perfection experts went to a sect to demand an explanation. This could be said to be unprecedented. Of course, it was hard to say whether it would never happen in the future. At least it had never happened before. Ironcloth Sect was located near Qingfeng Plateau. Ordinary people would have altitude sickness if they went there. However, Lin Yi and his group were different. Everyone was a Heaven Stage Great Perfection expert and had long been immune to ordinary environments. However, the information on Ironcloth Sect was pitifully little. What kind of sect was this? How many cultivators there were? What level the cultivators were at? Lin Yi had almost no idea. Even Tian Chan, the young master of the ancient sect's leader sect, Heavenly Elixir Sect, they knew very little about it. Previously, Lin Yi thought that Ironcloth Sect was an external sect. Of course, this was also based on his sect's name. Judging from the Golden Bell Sect, Ironcloth Sect should be an external sect. However, he heard from Tian Chan that Ironcloth Sect seemed to have internal experts. Internal experts? Then why don't they participate in the Heaven Stage trial? Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Actually, some ancient sects and rogue cultivators may not participate in the Heaven Stage trial. Everyone has their own ambitions and their pursuits are different. Tian Chan said, just like Ironcloth Sect, they have never participated in any kind of trial activities. They have always lived their own lives, so other sects don't know much about them. They mind their own business and mind their own business. It's the same for blood-clothed underworld sect. They are an assassin sect and pursue killing for rewards. They don't particularly care about the heavenly way. If there's a chance, they will break through. If there's no chance, they won't force it. As for going to the Heaven Stage Island, they won't go. Who would return to the secular world after going to the Heaven Stage Island? Their business is still in the secular world, so they have not participated in any trial activities. So that's how it is. Lin Yi nodded after listening. Yes, they were already the top existences in the secular world. There was no need to pursue the illusory heavenly way. Legend had it that the heavenly way was immortal cultivation, and one could step into the ranks of immortals. It was a completely different level from the current martial arts. However, legend was legend after all. No one knew what the Heaven Stage Island was like. No one knew if going there would be a blessing or a curse. Everything looked beautiful, but if one thought about it carefully, on the Heaven Stage Island, complete Heaven Stage was probably the lowest existence. If there were so many masters on the island, one would be killed immediately. It would be better not to go. Lin, he had to go. Or else Lin, he would be too lazy to go. For Pangolin, for you Xiaoka, for Boss Bai's 5 Elements sect to flourish, Lin, he went with a goal and a mission. Yes, but with our group going to the Ironcloth sect. Tian Chan looked at everyone present and was speechless. This was simply bullying. But thinking about it, didn't the Ironcloth sect bully Feng Tian Long and Lingshan like this? The distance between the 5 Elements sect and the Ironcloth sect wasn't close. In a day's time, they wouldn't be able to get there by car. In the evening, Lin parked the car in a town and found a hotel to stay in. The hotel wasn't too big, and it wasn't the tourist season, so there weren't any guests. But it was better this way. Lin directly booked the entire hotel, and the boss happily hung a sign saying that it was full. Because they had been on the road for a day, they still had to wake up early the next morning. So after dinner, everyone went back to their rooms to rest. Although the hotel wasn't too big, it was more than enough for everyone to have a room. Everyone went into their room, including Tang Yun. She planned to take a shower and rest early, but there was a knock on the door. Tang Yun opened the door and saw that it was Sydney. "Sister Shui, why are you here? What's the matter?" Tang Yun felt strange. When they broke up, Sydney was fine, but she came back in a blink of an eye. She had to worry about it every day. So after taking a shower, she laid on the comfortable bed. She fell asleep in a daze. After sleeping for a while, she suddenly felt like someone was on her bed. This surprised Sydney. She was a Sky Full Cycle Master. Unless the other party was also a Sky Full Cycle Master, they wouldn't be able to hide from her eyes. Just as she was about to confirm if someone was really here, she felt her chest being wrapped by a large hand. This shocked Sydney, and she immediately woke up. She shouted from the bed, "Pervert! Give me your life!" Lin, he was also shocked. He jumped up from the bed. This wasn't Tang Yun's voice. Wasn't this Sydney's voice? Where was Tang Yun? Wasn't this Tang Yun's room? Click. Sydney turned on the bedside lamp. Just as she was about to make a move, she saw that the person standing in front of her was Lin Yi. Moreover, Lin Yi was naked. This stunned Sydney. She quickly covered her eyes with her hands and said angrily, "Lin Yi, you're shameless." If it was someone else, Sydney would have killed them already. But the person in front of her was Lin Yi. She knew that she wasn't Lin Yi's opponent, so she only glared at Lin Yi and didn't make a move. However, when she covered her eyes, she suddenly realized that she wasn't wearing anything. As a result, when she turned on the light, wasn't she completely exposed? Sydney put down her hands and wanted to cover her body. But the more she thought about it, the more wronged she felt. Although she was almost 30 this year, she still had the temperament of a young girl. After all, she lived in an ancient sect and didn't come into contact with the outside world. The only thing she knew about the outside world was from some books. So, she was seen by Lin Yi and even touched. She felt wronged. Why was she so unlucky? Sydney sat on the bed and hugged her legs. She curled into a ball and started crying. This time, it made Lin Yi a little helpless. He didn't know that the person in the room was Sydney. If he knew, he wouldn't be so presumptuous. But now that there was a problem, Lin Yi had no choice. He thought that Sydney would beat him up, and Lin Yi had the attitude of not fighting back. After all, Lin Yi had the art of dragon mastery to heal him. No matter how heavy it was, it wouldn't matter. But now, Sydney didn't hit or scold him. Instead, she cried. Lin Yi really didn't know how to deal with it. He could only bite the bullet and say, "Sydney, I'm sorry. This is a misunderstanding. I thought that the person in the room was Tang Yun. Sydney ignored Lin Yi and continued to cry. Lin Yi sighed helplessly. He sat on the side and looked at Sydney quietly. Lin Yi didn't know how old Sydney was. Why did she look like a child? Just from her appearance, Sydney should be in her early 20s. She should have broken through to heaven's stage when she was in her 20s. After that, her appearance stayed forever. Even if he didn't have the key, he still had to break the door, right? Even if he was a heaven-down master, could he break the door quietly? If there was any movement before, then Sydney wouldn't still be asleep. She would have gotten up immediately to deal with it, and Lin Yi wouldn't have succeeded. Moreover, from Sydney's point of view, no matter how daring Lin Yi was, he wouldn't dare to break the door in a public inn, right? So, Sydney went to sleep without any precaution. After taking a shower, she was too lazy to put on her clothes because she subconsciously thought that even if Lin Yi wanted to come, he would definitely knock on the door. How would she know that something like this would happen? According to normal thinking, it was true, but Sydney neglected that Lin Yi had the ultimate skill of picking locks. From her point of view, it was completely impossible and unnecessary for a Heaven Stage full cycle master to learn how to pick locks. No. Before I became a practitioner, I was a great thief. I'm a godly thief. Lin Yi said, puffed. Really? Sydney widened her eyes in disbelief. How old are you this year? How could you be a great thief in the past? When did you start cultivating? I was still a golden stage master a year ago. Do you believe me? Lin Yi smiled bitterly and said, I already said to introduce each other. I don't need to lie to you about this. You leveled up really fast. Sydney looked at Lin Yi and sighed. Hey, I'm almost 30 years old. You won't dislike me, right? You look like you're even younger than Tang Yin. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Look at you now. I don't look 30 years old no matter how I look. Don't fool me. Hee. Sydney couldn't help but laugh. Then you can pretend I'm 18. 18 is big. You're 16 at most. Lin Yi knew that there was no turning back. Sydney's thinking was very conservative, so he could only comfort her first. However, today's matter was really a blunder. If Lin Yi didn't hide his strength or made some noise, then Sydney would definitely find out, and it wouldn't be like this. But Lin Yi became like this because he didn't want Tang Yin to find out. Sydney told Lin Yi about her own matters, but Sydney's life was very boring, almost the same as rock candies. She grew up in Snow Valley and didn't come into contact with anything. Because of her practice, no one came to propose to her. Sydney also didn't think that she would be able to be with a man in the future. Huh? That's not right. Aren't you also practicing the Heartless Chant? Why do I feel like you're so easily moved? I touched you, and you want me to take responsibility? Lin Yi suddenly asked. I didn't drink the forgetfulness, and I've never liked anyone before. I want you to take responsibility because it's written in the book, Sydney said. I feel like there's something wrong with the Heartless Chant that your Grandmaster created. Chapter 35-29. She now saw Lin Yi as the closest person to her. Naturally, some of the thoughts she hadn't dared to voice before were spoken out now. Although it was a little disrespectful to the Snow Ancestor, it was indeed what she had been thinking. Rest well, we still have a long journey tomorrow. I'll go back now, Lin Yi said. Ah, you're leaving already? Sydney paused. Aren't you going to do something? Do what? Lin Yi asked. The books say that on the wedding night. Shouldn't we do something? Sydney said shyly. We'll talk about it when we get back from Sky Class Island. Lin Yi hesitated. In fact, if they were to talk about being together, Lin Yi's ideal partner was Yuning, Chu Mingyao, Yu Shu, or Tang Yin. After all, these are the first people Lin Yi was familiar with. But with Sydney, he didn't have any feelings at all. Although feelings could be cultivated, they hadn't been cultivated yet, right? Plus, if the first time was with someone other than these four, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to accept it. Taking a step back, it should be on Chi-Chi or Wang Xinyan. Okay, Sydney let out a sigh of relief. To be honest, she was a little scared. Although the books said that when two people got married, they would sleep together and do that kind of thing, the ancient sects didn't care about those complicated marriage rules. The people of the Jianghu were all simple. Linny put on his clothes and left Sydney's room. He took a deep breath and looked at the room that belonged to Sydney but was now Tang Yun's room. He couldn't help but sigh. He wasn't in the mood to go there anymore. Back in his room, he couldn't fall asleep for a long time. He thought about the things that happened in the past year and was filled with emotions all the way until dawn. The next morning, everyone left the hotel after breakfast. Sydney's attitude towards he had clearly changed. There wasn't the vigilance and hatred in her eyes anymore. There was a hint of tenderness in her voice, which confused Tang Yun. Could it be that Sydney wasn't against her and Sister Shui, why do you keep looking at Lin? Tang Yun asked Sydney. He was driving a bus from the Heavenly Elixir sect, which was provided by Tian Shan. Everyone could sit in it, and Tang Yun sat with Sydney. Tang Yun noticed that Sydney would inadvertently look up at who was driving in the front. Sydney didn't think that her little action would be noticed by Tang Yun. She blushed shyly. She wasn't good at lying, and she didn't want to lie to Tang Yun. Yesterday, he came to my room to find me. Tang Yun was shocked. She thought that and Sydney had some conflict. She quickly asked, Sister Shui, then you and you guys, we slept together. Sydney was embarrassed as she looked at Tang Yun, who was stunned. Sister Shui, what did you say? Tang Yun didn't understand. I'm sorry, it's my fault. After the shower, I fell asleep. I didn't wear any clothes. How would I know that he used to be a bandit? He opened the door. He thought I was you. Actually, it's not his fault, Sydney said helplessly. Tang Yun finally understood what was going on. This was a huge mess. It was a big mistake. However, Tang Yun didn't blame Sydney or Yesterday, he went to the room. This meant that he was thinking about her, Tang Yun, and bumping into Shui could only be considered a freak accident. Before, Sydney changed the room to guard against but she didn't know that he didn't follow the rules. He opened the door and went to the bed. So it wasn't Sydney's fault. On the other hand, Tang Yun didn't want to look into the relationship between and Sydney. It seemed that already had a lot of women around him. She couldn't stop them even if she wanted to. During this period of time in the ancient sect, the ancient books she read instilled in her the ideas of ancient women. So she didn't have much resistance towards having multiple wives and concubines. Besides, Sydney was a friend she got along well with. Although Sydney was guarded against before, it was for the sake of Xiugu. But now that Sydney and had such a relationship, Tang Yun felt that there wouldn't be any obstacles between her and why don't you scold me? Actually, it's not like I'm being forced into this. I just think that is actually quite a nice person. There's something indescribably attractive about him. Forget it. In Xiugu, you and I are like sisters. This is nothing. You and I are no longer women in the secular world. My thinking has changed a lot. As long as we get along, it's fine. Tang Yun shook her head. Previously, when they were in the secular world, she was competitive and wanted to be Lin Yi's first wife. But now that she thought about it, it was just a title. Perhaps it was because heartless arts changed Tang Yun's personality. Sydney didn't think that Tang Yun would let this matter go so easily. It surprised her, but looking at Tang Yun's sincere expression, it didn't seem fake. Sydney finally let out a sigh of relief. From her point of view, the biggest obstacle to being with was Tang Yun. If Tang Yun didn't have any problems, then there wouldn't be any problems. Sydney didn't care about other people's thoughts. Because there was nothing on her mind, Sydney became more cheerful. She chatted with Tang Yun along the way. Tang Yun then realized that Sydney was quite a talkative person. Oh, Yao sis, I told you. That Sydney in Xiugu isn't a good person. She's a vixen. She seduced Shield Bro. The older she gets, the more shameless she is. She's an old cow eating young grass. Yushu said to Meng Yao. All right, Shu. Yun didn't say anything. You don't have to be stubborn. Meng Yao patted Yushu's little hand and said, Besides, Shueli still looks very young, about the same age as us. Chapter 35:30. HM? Yao Yao, when did you become so good-tempered? Yushu didn't understand. The night is peaceful, and the dark phoenix arts I practice has a calming effect. I finally understand why my mom is so good-tempered. Mingyao smiled. But why is that old woman Elder Dark Knight so hot-tempered? Yushu said, her arts are related to the Dark Phoenix, but it's not the same. Only people with the Dark Phoenix attribute can practice it. Mingyao said, oh okay. Yushu was still hot-tempered. She was a fire practitioner after all. They were all sky-class masters, and unless they didn't purposely eavesdrop, it was easy for others to hear what they were talking about. Sydney didn't know that Yushu had heard what she said, but it wouldn't take long for the others to know. As expected, Yushu went to chat with Xiao Xiao after telling Mingyao, and Bingtang found out as well. Xinyan and Han Jingjing, who were sitting at the back, found out as well, and so on. When they got out of the car, everyone looked at Shueli strangely. This made Shueli a little puzzled. What's wrong with everyone? What are you looking at? Sydney finally got pissed off by Bingtang's stare. She glared at her, displeased. Bingtang, what are you doing? It's nothing, Sydney lil sis. Bingtang giggled. I'm older than you. Why are you calling me lil sis? Sydney blinked. You know what I mean. Bingtang giggled. I know. Shueli was stunned. She suddenly thought of something. What do you mean? You're the youngest here from now onwards. You need to know the rules. Bingtang let out a breath of relief. The Ice Palace and Snow Valley had always been competitors, and there were wins and losses. But from now onwards, Sydney would always be younger than Bingtang. You all know about it. Shueli was so surprised that her face turned red all of a sudden, from her face to her neck. If you don't want others to know, don't do it. Rock Candy laughed. Crystal Candy's words made all the girls laugh, especially Xiao Xiao and Yushu. They were rocking back and forth with laughter. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taken aback. How they all know? How did the news spread? If I can't say it, Sydney should be too embarrassed to say it, right? This was really. However, everyone was still joking. Suddenly, two black figures appeared in front of the crowd and the bus. One of the black figures glanced at the crowd and shouted arrogantly, "Where did this bunch of idiots come from? Hurry up and get lost. Is this a place where you can come? This is private property. You have 1 minute to leave. If you continue to play here, don't go back." This was the territory of Tai E sect. Lin Yi parked the car in front of the mountain gate. He was waiting for someone to come out so that Lin Yi wouldn't have to barge in and search aimlessly. Therefore, the man in black came. Lin Yi didn't stop him. Two patrolling disciples were merely Earth class, early phase. Chapter 35:31. Oh, then it's nothing. In his mind, women were not good enough, and the masters were all men. In fact, the Iron Cloak sect was just like that, with more men than women. Second brother walked out of the sect with Wang, shitty, arrogantly. He looked at Lin Yi and the woman behind him, and his eyes lit up, revealing a mesmerizing look. Hey, Lin Yi, kill yourself. I'll leave your body intact. You're women. Leave me. I'll do it for you. Lin Yi looked at the fat guy in front of him, stunned. He was just a sky-class late-phase peak master. Where did he get his courage from? He even asked him to kill himself? Forget it, I won't do it. Rock Candy, Sydney, you guys practice with Yin Yin. Lin Yi really had no interest in killing this guy. It was just one move. Okay. Sugar and Snow Pear nodded. Although the two of them had conflicts, usually they were both Lin Yi's women at this moment. Tang Yin was also one of them. They had to work together against the outsiders. Because they were both water-type practitioners, they were more suitable to support Tang Yin. Xiao Ning, Xiao Xiao, you guys protect Yin Yin too. Lin Yi looked at Yu Ning and Xiao Xiao. After all, Tang Yin didn't have enough battle experience. It wouldn't be good if she fell into this guy's trap. Suddenly, Rock Candy, Shueli, Xiao Ning, and Xiao Xiao surrounded Tang Yun, while Tang Yun locked onto her second senior brother. At first, second brother didn't think much of it, but when he saw Tang Yun's Sky-class late-phase peak strength, he was dumbfounded. Why was this woman so strong? However, he wasn't too afraid, since she was just a woman, and he was a famous master. As for Lin Yi, he completely ignored him. To him, Lin Yi was just a normal Sky-class master. At most, he was at the early phase. Otherwise, why didn't Lin Yi attack, but let the woman behind him do it? That wasn't manly at all. Hence, from his perspective, Tang Yun was the most powerful person here. However, Wang Shidi felt that the situation wasn't looking good. This second brother and Tang Yun's strength were on par, so the chance of winning was only 50-50. If Lin Yi were to secretly cause trouble, then the chance of winning wouldn't be high. Thinking of this, he quickly turned around and ran back. He wanted to report to eldest senior brother, third senior brother, and the Iron Cloak martial ancestor so that they could send reinforcements. After running a few steps, he heard second senior brother scream from behind. Junior brother Wang was shocked and quickened his pace. Was second senior brother about to die? I'm afraid so. However, that person's strength was on par with second senior brother's. Yet he was able to kill second senior brother? Tai Yi sect, where old ancestor Tai Yi cultivated. At this moment, his eldest and third disciples were present. Patriarch Ironclad was explaining some cultivation matters to them. Junior brother Wang stumbled in and came in front of the three of them. But as he spoke, he also revealed his Sky-class late phase, peak, full circle strength. This made third senior brother pause. Why was there a Sky-class late phase peak here? On the side, junior brother Wang was also startled. Not good. The other side is a peak late stage heaven rank expert and a great circle heaven rank expert. If these two people attack together, then third senior brother will definitely suffer. Thinking up to this point, junior brother Wang turned around and ran again to report the news. Lin Yi, naturally, saw Wang junior brother going back and forth, but he didn't care. How could he draw the Tai Yi sect's masters out if he didn't leave someone behind to report? It would be too troublesome to find them one by one. He knew he wasn't a match, so he wanted to stall for time. Oh, okay. Lin Yi nodded indifferently. Then let's wait. When the experts of their sect arrived, Lin Yi would kill them all together. Otherwise, killing old ancestor Tai Yi would scare the others away. It would be troublesome for Lin Yi to chase after them one by one. Old ancestor Tai Yi didn't expect Lin Yi to directly agree. What was going on? Why did this Lin Yi look a little stupid? If it were him, he definitely wouldn't agree. But Lin Yi agreed just like that. What an idiot. Thinking of this, old ancestor Tai Yi looked at Lin Yi and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Okay, we'll fight fairly. When my men arrive, we'll fight as a group. Fighting alone isn't heroic. Oh, do as you wish. Then let's fight as a group. Our men will attack together. Lin Yi nodded. Okay, no problem. Old ancestor Tai Yi snickered. Just a group of women like you, what are you? Won't I beat you to a pulp? When that time comes, I'll kill Lin Yi and kidnap all these pretty girls in an Iron Cloak sect. I won't be lonely in the future. After junior brother Wang returned, he stumbled into Iron Cloak Patriarch's room and came to the only remaining eldest senior brother. Junior brother Wang, what are you doing? Where's Master? Why did you come back alone? Grand senior brother saw that junior brother Wang had returned and couldn't help but be surprised. Are you training your body? No. Eldest senior brother, it's bad. Did you know? Third senior brother is dead. Master just went and was detained by that Lin Yi. Junior brother Wang said. Master told me to come back and report. What? Third junior brother was also killed? Eldest senior brother's eyes widened. Okay, I'll go now. See how I old ho killed him. Don't. Eldest senior brother. It's useless even if you go. That Lin Yi is really powerful. Master wants you to ask for help from the heavenly venerables and patriarchs. Ask them to deal with Lin Yi together. Junior brother Wang said hurriedly. What? Ask for help from the heavenly venerables and patriarchs? That Lin E is so powerful? Eldest senior brother was stunned. Okay, wait for me here. I'll go ask for help. In Iron Cloak sect, strength did not mean that one could be the sect leader. It was passed down from generation to generation. Otherwise, those heaven stage, great perfection experts' lifespans would be extended indefinitely. Would there be a change of sect leader? Iron Cloak sect had a large number of disciples. It was too tiring for one sect leader to sit for too long. Hence, it was passed down from generation to generation. In any case, the old sect leaders were patriarchs or heavenly venerables. They were all heaven stage, great perfection experts. For example, Iron Cloak Patriarch's master, Iron Cloak Patriarch, was a powerful figure who had reached heaven stage great perfection long ago. Iron Cloak Patriarch Senior and Junior brothers were also very powerful. Gold Cloak Patriarch, Silver Cloak Patriarch, Copper Cloak Patriarch, and Aluminum Cloak Patriarch were all heaven stage great perfection experts. Of course, the titles of these people were distributed after one of them inherited the position of the sect master. The one who inherited the position of sect master was called Old Ancestor Tai E, while the others were called by other names. Tai E was not the most powerful person in Tai E sect. It was just a title. Eldest senior brother searched for all the experts in Iron Cloak sect. They were Iron Cloak Patriarch, Aluminum Cloak Patriarch, Gold Cloak Patriarch, Silver Cloak Patriarch, Copper Cloak Patriarch, and Aluminum Cloak Patriarch. Including himself, there were a total of 7 heaven stage great perfection experts. No one would have thought that Iron Cloak sect had so many heaven stage great perfection experts. This was not known by other sects and cultivators. If he had known, Lin he wouldn't have spared Iron Cloak Patriarch's life and waited for the others to come. This meant that the other side had 8 heaven stage great perfection experts, while Lin he only had Tian Chan, Ming Yao, Yushu, Yuning, Lil Nine, Guan Exen, Wang Xinyan, Han Jingjing, Bing Tang, Xiao Xiao, Sydney, and Lin Yi. 11 heaven stage great perfection and 1 late phase peak. Chapter 35-33. Grand Senior Brother brought a group of experts from Iron Cloak sect to the mountain gate. Iron Cloak ancestors saw them and laughed. Wah, Lin E, you're dead this time. How dare you be so arrogant in our Iron Cloak sect? You're asking for death. Everyone, show your strength and scare this little bastard to death. Hee hee. Grand Senior Brother took the lead and showed his heaven-class late phase, peak, full circle strength. Following that, the experts behind the Great Senior Brother also started to display their heaven stage great perfection strength. How is it, Lin E? Did you piss your pants? Iron Cloak Ancestor looked at Lin E proudly. Time to show off activated. Oh, that's right, I'm laughing my pants off. Only 8. Lin E laughed. What do you mean? Are you scared out of your wits? In Iron Cloak Ancestor's mind, Lin, he should be pissing his pants. Why was he acting like nothing happened? That didn't make sense. Oh, everyone, let's show them your strength. Scare this old thing to death. Lin, he said to everyone present. Okay, I'll scare you to death. Yushu said and revealed her heaven-class, full circle strength. As for the others, although they found the comparison between Lin E and Iron Cloak Ancestor funny, they still cooperated and revealed their strength. Iron Cloak Ancestor was dumbfounded. He looked at Lin Yi's group in disbelief, his legs turning to jelly. 11 heaven class, full circle? Little one, come out and show them. Lin Yi waved his hand, and Little One appeared in the group. 12 heaven class, full circle masters. Ugh. Iron Cloak Ancestor only felt his eyes blur. Another heaven class, full circle master appeared. He was almost scared to death. Previously, 12 to 8 was already not enough, but now it was 13 to 8. Wasn't this a one-sided suppression? He subconsciously took 2 steps back. Well, young hero Lin, this is a misunderstanding. We're actually here to welcome you. Welcome us? You make it sound so nice. Didn't you want to gang up on me? Lin, he said indifferently. That's just a joke. It's not real. Forefather Tai, he was already scared before the battle even started. They weren't on the same level at all. Oh, but I'm not. Everyone, let's attack together. The gang fight has begun. Lin, he didn't want to leave any trouble before leaving Heaven Stage Island. If it was before, Lin, he might have spared their lives. Let them be his lackeys or something. However, with the face of the Ironcloth sect, even a follower would not be too loyal. They were simply too self-righteous. Therefore, Lin, he would not let this hidden danger stay. After he finished speaking, he directly sent out a palm strike. The 20th style of frenzy fist that he had been accumulating for a long time, and with the boost from the Essence Chi necklace, it was enough to kill Tai E Ancestor. The 20th form of the frenzy fist was equivalent to the 21st form of a normal martial skill. With the addition of the profound Chi necklace, it would be hard for Tai E Ancestor not to die. Bang! Tai E Ancestor was killed by Lin E without even realizing it. Let's go. Everyone, let's kill this brat together. Eldest senior brother was anxious, and with a roar, he rushed forward. Since negotiation was useless, then let's fight. They couldn't escape anyway. 2 against 1. Lin, he said indifferently. If these inheritors were to fight one-on-one, they might lose due to lack of experience. But 2 against 1, the Ironcloth sect was completely no match for them. The inheritors were also the best among the Heaven Stage Great Perfection experts, and their strength was not inferior to little ones. Wasn't beating these people from the Ironcloth sect a piece of cake? Boom, boom, boom. Martial skills were activated continuously, and the light illuminated tens of thousands of miles. The experts from the Ironcloth sect, one by one, they fell to the ground, and it was as miserable as it could be. It was a completely one-sided attack. Originally, Heaven Stage Great Perfection experts were rare, and each of them was an existence that could dominate a region. But in front of Lin Yi's team, they were completely useless. They all died one by one, and did not even have a chance to make a comeback. Oh, the last one to die was the Ironcloth Heavenly Lord, and Lin Yi personally sent him on his way. At this point, the Ironcloth sect could be considered to have been annihilated. Without the support and protection of these top experts, the remaining disciples could not pose any threat at all. The once prominent Ironcloth sect had directly become an ordinary sect that could not even be compared to the ancient level. These cultivators could not cause any trouble at all, and Lin Yi did not have the thought of finding trouble with them anymore. Now, what Lin Yi wanted was to hurry back to the West Star Mountain village and then open the next stone door to see what good things were behind the stone door, and not waste time here in the Ironcloth sect. Patriarch Xianshun said to let everyone rest, and then he would gather everyone. Lin Yi did not know when he would gather everyone. What if time was tight, and Lin Yi could not open the stone door in time? One had to know that the Heaven Stage Island plan would not wait for Lin Yi alone. If Lin Yi did not go, Patriarch Xianshun would be even happier, so it was better for Lin Yi to hurry up. Although Lin Yi's current team was enough to challenge Xianshun, if Xianshun were to push him too far, he'd be forced to go back on his word and not open the island. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything about it. He didn't know how to get to the island, even if he had an inheritor by his side. Without a person like Patriarch Xianshun who understood, everything was illusory. Chapter 35-34. Stop it. It's not like that. Tang Yun rolled her eyes at Lin. Why are you still so violent? When I first met you, you were always fighting and killing. I was worried about you. We're all cultivators. Fighting and killing is normal, right? Lin, he was a bit embarrassed. He thought about the past and smiled warmly. Oh, right. What kind of feeling are you talking about? I knew that Sydney Sis and Lin E were together, so I was relieved. I thought that you wouldn't stop me and Lin E from being together. Then, I suddenly found a hint of breakthrough. Tang Yin said, that's so strange. Shueli was stunned. Tang Yin Sis, you have to call her Sydney Sis. Don't call her Sydney Sis. Bing Tang said, then you have to call her Sis. Why are you calling her sis? Sydney stared at Bingtang. I am her cousin, are you? Bingtang said proudly. I am her senior sister. Sydney said, Senior sister is useless. I have to call her Xiao Xiao sis. Bingtang said, What's the big deal? You don't have to tell me. Sydney said, Tang Yin sis, did you really find the opportunity to break through? Yes, but it was just a feeling for a moment. It seems that the aura around me is not enough for me to break through. If I can go to a place with dense aura, I think I can break through. Tang Yin said, or if I go back to the Five Evils wilderness, I might be able to break through under the pressure. I see. Lenny frowned and said, It's not easy to find a place with dense aura. Can we go back to the Five Evils wilderness? Lenny said and looked at Tian-chan, who was not far away. It can't. That portal can only be used once in a period of time. If we want to use it again, we will have to wait for a long time. Tian-chan said, I don't know how long it will take. What about the portal for the test? He was a little disappointed. He nodded and continued to ask. If they used the portal from the previous trial, although it was far from the Five Evils Mountains with the pressure of the ghost, it shouldn't be dangerous. It can be activated once a year, Tian-chan said. 1 year, it's too late. He was helpless. If Tang Yin could enter the space in the jade, it would be great. That was the place with the purest energy, but Tang Yin couldn't enter it. She was the only one who could enter. I'll take it one step at a time. Maybe I'll break through on the way. Let's look for the reason from Yin's current situation. Why is it that when she's in a good mood, she sensed an opportunity to break through? Master Snow really missed Zhang Liju. Grandmaster Snow had always been thinking about Zhang Liju, and that was why she was able to perfect Heartless Arts? And Yin felt the opportunity to break through because she let go of the shackles in her heart. Although Sydney didn't want to believe it, the facts were right in front of her, so she had to believe it. Heartless yet loving?